All right. Here we go. 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 All right. Here we go. As usual, let's do a video here.
I told you guys that I will never stop using this my platform to advocate for the betterment of Africa at large. All right. Now, I don't know how many of you that have come across this video, but if you haven't, kindly pay attention, please. Watch.
Michael Langley, you are not worthy of being called a general. You are a traitor and a betrayer to not just Africans, but every black person around the world. You, your country, and the rest of the countries in the West must leave Africa alone. The West has done a lot of damage to Africa. Let's talk about how the Western countries have damaged Africa from colonization till today. In case you don't know, this isn't just history. It's still happening. From 1884 to 1960, they stole our lands. They shared Africa without asking. They forced colonization on our people. And when our people resisted, they killed them. They forced our people to work in mines and plantations. And when our people resisted, they killed them. They killed them. From 1960 to 1980, they assassinated our African heroes like Patrice Lumumba and Thomas Sankara and a lot of others. Then they installed their puppets who served their interest. Which country in this African continent has assassinated any hero of the Western country? None. From 1980 to today is modern day neo-colonialism. They wiped our memory by erasing our history. They enslaved our economy, trapped us with debts. They brought us toxic trade deals and are still stealing our resources on top of that. Multinationals are making billions and getting rich while we stay poor. They call us poor. Meanwhile, they are the ones making us poor. They make it difficult for us to enter their countries, but they enter our countries free of charge. And we treat them like kings. I'm talking about those of us that are still enslaved in the mind. Those are the ones treating them like kings. They call them expatriates, but I see them as low lives. I see them as thieves because that's what they are. They brought in military bases and claimed to be fighting terrorism. But what they really came for, our mineral resources, our gold, our uranium, these are of more interest to them than our lives. Africa is rich, but we have been robbed for centuries. It's time to rewrite the story. It's time to change the narrative. We are not helpless. We are powerful. We don't need loans. We need freedom. We are not beggars. We are givers. We are not poor. We are rich. The more we know, the more we fight. Africans, you have been empowered with information, with knowledge. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to sit down there and allow the West continue to exploit us? Or they are going to take action by sharing this video and using the hashtag, Leave Africa Alone. Your voice and your support matters. And together, we'll conquer.
You know, I keep saying this. Anybody that behaves exactly the way I behave, such person I will refer as my friend. This young man has spoken absolutely my mind. These people kept on seeing us to be poor. But I can tell you for free that we are not poor. All right? When they will be asking most of them, which country is the poorest in the world? And you will hear them responding, Africa. This one will say Africa. This one, Africa, Africa, Africa. They don't even know that Africa is a continent. Most of them are thinking that Africa is just a country. Not even knowing that Africa is a great continent on its own. You feel me? But it is time to say that we are not foolish. And it is time to prove to them that we are the richest continent in the whole wide world. We are not poor, and we can never be poor. I come in peace. Do well by sharing this video. Please.
Still going to keep believing in the lies from USA and its allies? Or are we going to look back to history and make sure we are not being fooled again? Patrice Lumumba, Tafawa Balewa, Jonas Savimbi, Thomas Sankara, Kwame Nkrumah, Samora Machel, Amilcar Cabral, Idi Amin Dada, and many more were killed or brought down because they wanted a better Africa. They wanted to unite and develop Africa. The West couldn't allow their dreams to come true, so they turned us against them, and we helped them in bringing our leaders down. Some were even assassinated by their closest friends. And today, because the leaders of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso have decided to stand not just for their people, but for all of Africa, the West and its allies have come again with their same old strategy. My fellow Africans, our strength will come from our unity. It's time we chose what is best for us. The West will only want what's best for them and not us. Let's be wise.
Beautiful Black people, I need you to really hear me on this. What I'm about to say might get me flagged, might get me shadow banned, but I don't care, because truth don't come with a permission slip. And personally, I was shocked when I finally saw the bigger picture. So I'm going to ask you this up front. Are you ready to face the uncomfortable truth? Because once you hear it, there's no going back. They don't want us to know this. Not in school, not in movies, not in politics, and definitely not on your timeline. Because once you know who you really are, it's game over for white supremacy. They divide us by labels: African, African American, Caribbean, straight, gay, blood, Crip, Democrat, Republican. But under all that, we are one people, melanated, powerful, unbreakable. And yes, we outnumber them, not just here, everywhere. That's why they created borders, boxes, prisons, and propaganda. It's not about law. It was never about justice. It's about control. While we fight each other, They build empires. They eat while we argue over the scraps. You see other groups come here and build, Chinese, Irish, Jewish. Meanwhile, we're still trying to survive in a place we helped build. That's the mind game. They made us feel like guests in our own legacy. And the worst part, we bought into it. We judge each other, silence each other, divide ourselves, exactly like they wanted. But let me tell you something, this ends with us, right here, right now. You think protesting is enough? That another speech, another hashtag, another symbolic leader will save us? Nah, it's time to build, to unite, to protect our people like our ancestors protected their villages, to fight with purpose, not just rage. Because whether you're rich or poor, gay or straight, Muslim or Christian, if you're black in this system, you're a target. And yeah, it's dangerous to speak like this, but it's more dangerous to stay silent. Our children are watching, and the next 400 years depend on what we do today. So if you felt this in your soul, if this made you pause and reflect or sparked that fire inside you, then don't just scroll. Like it if you're tired, comment if you're ready, and share it if you refuse to stay silent, because maybe, just maybe, this one video is the spark that wakes up a whole generation. I'm your sister Lindiwe, the nationalist.
Free State, owned by the most Christian king of Belgium, Leopold II, the king's policy reduced the population within 20 years from over 20 million to under 10 million. In the process, slavery and disorder were visited upon the African inhabitants of the Free State. Leopold simply declared the land and the people his own. He made the produce of the land his own, wrecked the trade of the land, and made slaves of those natives he did not kill. And of them he demanded rubber, more and ever more rubber. One of his agents, a certain Lieutenant Tilkins, tells in a letter how this rubber was obtained. Commandant Verstraeten visited my station and congratulated me warmly. He said his report would depend upon the quantity of rubber which I was able to provide. The quantity increased from 360 kilograms in September to 1,500 in October, and from January onwards it will amount to 4,000 per month, which will bring me in a monthly premium of 500 francs. Am I not a lucky fellow? If I go on like this, within 2 years, I shall have earned premiums of 12,000 feces. SS Van Kerkhoven is coming down the Nile and will demand 1,500 porters. Unlucky niggers, I can hardly bear to think of them. I am asking myself how on earth I shall be able to hunt up so large a number. Marshes, hunger, exhaustion. How much blood will be shed because of this transport? 3 times already, I have had to make war upon the chiefs who would not help me to get the men I needed. The fellows would rather die in their own forests than as members of a transport train. If a chief refuses, that means war, with modern firearms on one side against spears and javelins on the other. A chief has just been to see me, complaining, "My village has been destroyed and my wives have been killed." But what on earth can I do? I have often been compelled to keep these unhappy chiefs in chains until they get for me 100 or 200 porters. Very often my soldiers find the villages empty of men, and then they seize the women and the children. I see the likelihood of a general uprising. The natives are sick of the regime, of having to work as porters, of gathering rubber, of being forced to provide food.
All right, folks. We're gonna start the show after this video and then another video, and there's a reason why I'm playing this video, because it kind of correlates to what we are going to speak about today. All right. I know as much as it's very difficult to speak on topics like this because of the ignorance of some of our people who will come to try to attack, video of such like this, right? If they see presentation like this, they will try to attack it in a very ignorant way, and that is the reason why we are showing some of these things. Because when it comes to the West, between the West in Africa, or the Western world in Africa, it have never been about peace. All right. It have never been about humanity. It have never been about love. All right. When it comes to the Western world versus Africa, it have always been about exploitation. It have always been about taking advantage of Africa, right? It have always been about taking advantage of our kindness, of our love. We have always loved, right? It's the truth. Africans have always loved, but our love for others have always turned against us, and that's the reason why I'm playing some of these video, all right, and then relating to what we are about to speak of today. It have never been about love, and it will never be about love when it comes to Africa and the Western world. Never, right? We may have some few things, right? But those few things that they bring to us is called incentive. All right, it's called incentive. Incentive is something given onto someone, right, or onto you, but the benefit of the person that is giving you the incentive is going to be more than the incentive that they are giving you. So incentive given to Black people is not in any way, right, giving a definition of love, giving a definition of humanity. It's never about humanity, have never been, and it will never be. Incentive given to Black people to exploit Black people, right, to demonize Black people, is not love. It's never love. So incentive given to African people or Black people from the West is not love. All right, they mislead us, and it is because of that incentive, right? Today we do not want to do away with the Western world, and we feel that without the West we can never make it and we will never survive. But let me ask you a question, right? Before the introduction of the white man to Africa, or the Western world to Africa, how did we live? Did we not survive? Did we not live off better than since the white man came into our life and polluted our system? These are the questions we need to be asking if we want to get away. All right? Because we refuse to get away. We refuse to do things our own way. That is why we continue to suffer. And since the introduction of the white man, all right, of the Western world to Africa, and we began to expose ourselves to them, and we began to deny our belief, right? Because one who does not believe in his or herself, that person is a failure. And that is a fact. If you don't believe in yourself, you become a failure. Because whosoever you believe in, if those people, right, do not believe in you, you will not make it. Because for someone to believe in you, it means that person is willing to invest in their life in you. All right? So if we do not believe in ourselves, do not believe in our belief system, right? Do not believe that we can make it. We did it before and we've been doing it, right? We become failures. And those to whom we believe in, those to whom we follow, those to whom we listen to, they do not believe in us. And if they don't believe in us, how are we going to correlate? How are they going to listen to our struggle? How are they going to listen to our plight? How are they going to work with us when they are the one creating the problems to pour in the circumstances to which we are living in today for their betterment? That is why we play some of these videos. We are not playing it because we are here to make fun. We are not playing it because we are less busy. We are not playing it because we just want to come sit out here, right, to play these videos and things. All right? What happened in the past is still happening in the present. All right? The present correlate with the past. The present correlate with the past. Don't get it twisted, and no one should lie to you. All right? It's just being manipulated in a different way that is well sophisticated. That the method they used then, right? They are no longer using the same method, but they are still using the formula, right? But just upgraded the formula to get us in a situation to where we are today. You know, I was listening to one African pastor, right? And he said, Christianity right? There's a revolutionary channel, and that is why sometimes we go to those places, all right? And by the way, if you go to the Bible, we are also there, all right? Now, he said, we're going to go to the video, folks, but let me speak on this. He said Christianity did not do anything bad on the African continent. In fact, Christianity brought life. Christianity brought life to the African continent. It brought life to the African continent. And you know, there was one question that I took from there. I said, what is life? Yeah. What is life that Christianity brought to the African continent? Did we not have life? Did we not live better before Christianity? Did we not communicate to the Most High, to whatsoever creator that we believe in, that created this world? Did we not communicate to the Most High? And you know what? Let me say this. Before Christianity, right? Whatsoever God that we believe in, listen to us, then the God of the Christianity. Now, you may ask me, you may say I may be delusional, but let me say this to you. Since when, as a Christian, have you prayed for rain to fall and rain fall? Oh no, let me ask you a question now. Since when have you prayed for sun to shine and sunshine on your clock, on your crops, I mean? Because history tells us, right? And they are there. And some of these traditions are still there today. It tells us that during the time of our forefathers, whatsoever we believe in, they pray for rain to fall and rain came down on their crops. They pray for sun to shine and sunshine. They pray to have good harvests, and they have good harvest of their minerals. And that is why our kings and queens, before the white man came, like I said, we knew our gold, we knew our diamond ring. We wear diamond ring. And they came to learn these things from us. We wear gold chains. They came to learn these things from us. They came to wonder, how did we extract these minerals from the soil? We have all these things because we pray to a God. We pray to a various gods, and those various gods listen to us. So what is life that Christianity brought to us? Because when Christianity came, we became ignorant in a sense that, right, for clarity, right, for better word, we no longer know how to mine our gold. Now it's the white man. We have to go to the white man home to go to school, to come to tell us, to bring facility, to bring investor, to come and invest in our gold or manufacture our gold or mine our gold, our diamonds. That's what Christianity did to us. Christianity caused harm. It did not bring good. It did not bring life. It destroyed life. Christianity destroyed millions of people on a transatlantic slave trade. Christianity. You know what it did? It killed our mothers, our sisters, our brothers when they were indulgent. They died and they were buried at sea. They were thrown, not that they were buried, but it was thrown over a bowl. That was Christianity. It destroyed Africans. You know, when I heard that pastor saying Christianity brought life, I asked, what is life? Because since the day of the introduction of Christianity on the African continent, we became dead. We became zombie, the living dead. Then you say Christianity brought life? Christianity destroy our way of life. We don't even know ourselves. Christianity destroy our identity, and you say life. Some of these pastors, sometimes I wonder, oh my God, what? Let's continue here. Let's continue.
Stuffs. Once more, I have been fighting for 3 months, with only 10 days interval. I have 152 prisoners. For 2 years, I have been making war in this district. but have not been able to force the natives to submit. They would rather die. What am I to do? I am paid for my work. I am merely a tool in the hands of my superiors and carry out their orders as discipline demands. And the result? Edmond Picard, distinguished Belgian jurist and senator on traveling in the Congo Free State, recorded what he saw. The inhabitants have disappeared. Their homes have been burned. Huge heaps of ashes amid neglected palm hedges and devastated abandoned fields. Inhuman floggings, murders, plundering, and carrying offs. The people flee. A continual succession of blacks, carrying loads upon their heads, worn-out beasts of burden with projecting joints, wasted features, and staring eyes, perpetually trying to keep afoot despite their exhaustion. By thousands they pass, in the service of the state, handed over by the chiefs, whose slaves they are and who rob them of their wages. They totter along the road with bent knees and protruding bellies, crawling with vermin, a dreadful procession across hill and dale, dying from exhaustion by the wayside, or often succumbing even should they reach home after their wanderings. An American missionary reported, "It is blood-curdling to see them, the soldiers, returning with hands of the slain, and to find the hands of young children amongst the bigger ones evidencing their bravery." The rubber from this district has cost hundreds of lives, and the scenes I have witnessed, while unable to help the oppressed, have been almost enough to make me wish I were dead. This rubber traffic is steeped in blood, and if the natives were to rise and sweep every white person on the Upper Congo into eternity, there would still be left a fearful balance to their credit. An agent of a concessionaire company wrote home boasting that he had killed 150 men, cut off 60 hands, crucified women and children, and hung the remains of mutilated men on the village fence. After years of such man-made devastation, in justification of their
And let me say this. You see, to the rest of our brothers and sisters who see it as an opportunity to fight their brothers and sisters who are also coming from the African continent. And that is why we have to learn our history, right, from our perspective in our struggle, not from the white man or the European perspective. And that is why today, if you get on Twitter, you get on or TikTok, you get on Instagram, what you see or you heard, it's all about the Africans don't like the Black American. I am not African American, I am Black American. And on the other hand, some of our brothers and sisters too, I don't blame them. They go against the Black man who is saying, I am not African American because I am not part of Africa. My root is not from Africa. I am FBA, or I am indigenous Black, or I'm foundational Black American, and those things, right? And then they began to go against their own brothers and sisters too, because of the attitude of their brothers and sisters from the diaspora too. They themselves to the African too, who come from the African continent, are here in America or in Europe, right? Also come out with an attitude against each other. And then at the end, we start fighting. And you know, let me say this. I'm beginning to believe that some of these people are paid agents because they want to collect the money. Some of these people are paid agent plenty. I want to believe this. I may be wrong, but I want to believe. You see, the same way we have Black leaders in higher position that we call puppet and so forth, right? You don't have to be in leadership position to be called puppet. You don't have to be in a position, right, to be defined as a neo-colonialist. Because the truth is we are on our own. You like it or not. You don't, look, folks, I agree with you. You don't have to call yourself African American. No problem. Oh my God. You don't have to call yourself African American. You won't call yourself black. You won't call yourself blue. You won't call yourself green. You won't call yourself blue, black. Just do it. But at the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, the system, the people to whom we all are fighting against, they see us in the same box. They see us the same way. I don't care how you want to distance yourself. And what I want to tell you here is, to those of you, my brothers and sisters, who are saying, oh my God, you are not African American. Like I said, you don't have to be called African American. But what I want to tell you here is, don't distance yourself from the African continent. Don't do it. You are making a worst mistake. Don't do it. Do not distance yourself from the African continent. Don't do it. Because don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. There's no European society. What I'm telling here is, they are all pretender. The European society, they are all pretender. They are pretender. I'm telling you, right now, if you can just remove the entire black folks from the African continent, the whole European will be happy. The whole Europe, the Western world, they will be so happy to take Africa. And if you don't know, that's the fight going on right now. And that's why we have this topic today to discuss. I don't care whether you don't want to be called African American, whatsoever. What I'm about to tell you, or what I'm telling you, don't distance yourself from the African continent. Because I will tell you, only the ignorant white will try to distance themselves. But other than that, no white person don't want to be part of the African continent. None of them. So the Western world that you are claiming to be, they do not want to be. They want to be identified with the African continent. They want to be identified with a continent that belongs to you. And you are sitting here distancing yourself. That's what I can tell you. You can be called whatsoever you want to identify yourself. But what I'm telling you is, do not distance yourself from the African continent. Because the truth is, you will put yourself in a shameful position. Because the truth is, you are going to that continent. The truth is, that's the next place to go. The truth is, that's the next era of migration. So, don't distance yourself. Don't create locomotion between your brothers and sisters for some stupidity or for some services that you did not get, or for some misunderstanding that you got from some other African businesses. Are you telling me the Chinese businesses, the Indian businesses, the white people businesses in your neighborhood, in your community, on a daily basis, you have misunderstanding with them? What you're doing to your brothers and sisters, are you going to do that? Also, are you going to continue doing it to the Indian too? To the Asian too? Are you going to do it to them? Don't do it. All I can tell you. Don't isolate yourself from. Don't do it. Like I said, I am not here to tell you what to identify with. It is your right to identify with what you want to. But what I want to tell you is, don't distance yourself from the African continent. Don't do it. Let's continue.
conduct, Belgian ministers of state presented the Congo Africans to the world as little better than animals, with no conception of land tenure.
Because you see the same struggle that you think you went through doing slavery, right? Doing Jim Crow, okay? We went through the same thing on the African continent, brother and sister. What you see down there, that's DRC Congo. Kenya, Liberia. You know, do you think I would sit here and say our brothers and sisters that left from the diaspora or that left from the United States that went to Liberia, they went to enslave our brothers and sisters? You think I would do that? I could have done the same thing too, or go around and be preaching the same thing. But I won't do that because I know what happened when they took you from here and they took you there. The enslavement our people went through down there, it was not caused by you. You were told to manage the colony. It's just like the black man in the US here that was beating another black man on a slave plantation. Will you go and blame that black man that was beating another black man? No. He did it because he had no choice or he had no option. He could have been killed and he didn't do it. So let us learn our history right, because we can also point fingers at our brothers and sisters who went to Liberia, who enslaved. Do you know that? Look, you see, that's why when we're learning the history, our story, right, we need to put things in context. What the other people, the native people, went through in the hands of the slave that left from here, that they called them slave. Free, they were not free. They called them rebellion slave. Do you know that the native people that were in Liberia, they went on a hardship more than the people that were in America on a plantation? Do you know that the plantation worker here and the plantation worker in Liberia, they went on a hardship than the plantation worker in the US? Oh no, the leadership of the free slave that left from here, but we know they were not free. They were what? Rebellion slave. That's what history tells us. I mean, the true research, they are there. And the Washington, D.C. said know it. They sat down in Washington, D.C. in Congress for months to debate where they should carry the rebellion slave. They went through hardship. So we sit down here too and say, you colonize or you enslave your brothers and sisters down there? If the white man read a book and say the free slave that left from here that went to Liberia, they enslaved the native people there, should we go with that narrative? Let us be careful here. So the same hardship you fix here, we also fix it. We went through the same thing on the African continent. What you see down there, the story you see here is a story of DRC. It's a story of Kenya. It's a story of Liberia. It's a story of Ghana. It's a story of Nigeria. It's a story of Sierra Leone. It is a story of South Africa. It is a story of Benin. It is a story of the Sohe Empire, today Benin as well. It is a story of Yan Ashantiwa. Don't get it twisted. We all are fighting against the same system. Let's go ahead.
Or government, no instinct for commerce or industrial pursuits, a people entitled to nothing. But a few years before, it had not been so.
We are
one more video, and then we get into our topic. Hopefully I see it. I don't know. Let me see here. Ooh. How I didn't delete it.
Have always been a threat to white people, and this ain't something that I'm just trying to be controversial about. This is literally history. I was watching on YouTube the PBS documentary of the American coup of 1898 in Wilmington, North Carolina, and they talked about how black people were thriving and prospering after slavery into Reconstruction, and how white people decided that they was going to tear that shit all down with lies and come up with ways to get rid of what they considered Negro dominance, because black people were excelling past white people. They were opening up their own businesses. They were starting their own companies. They were creating their own communities, and they was doing it with pride and beauty and honor. White people did not like this. So you know what they did? After black people started to become government officials and hold those seats and be able to vote and be elected into government, white people was like, nah, we can't have that, because that's not what our forefathers and our Anglo-Saxon ancestors created. They didn't want us to be inferior to the African people. Literally created lies. There was a prominent black man during that time, Alex Manley. He was an editor and publisher of his own newspaper, and he was basically the source of information of, you know, what was going on, not even within the city, but the entire state. Now, at some point, white people was like, nah, they trying to rule over us. They trying to make sure we don't become who we need to be. We can't have these former slaves thinking that they can have any dominion over us. So they spread lies. What they did, these white folks went into the gun shops, bought up all the guns, and then told the owners, hey, you better not sell to them black people. But we're going to have no gun shops. We're going to have no ways to defend ourselves according to them. These folks, prominent figures, were ran out of Wilmington. They were killed, they were threatened, they were banned, and black people had to leave behind all of their wealth. And guess who ended up occupying that land, those shops, those hospitals, those offices, those newspapers? White people. You know, it's sad to watch, but it's also empowering to see the power that we have and what has always been hidden from us. Black people are powerful beyond measure. What was that quote?
Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure.
Let me tell you, learn your history, know yourself, and do better. But make sure you go watch American Coup 1898 PBS documentary.
But everyone has a different story to tell. Shell, which says it's losing it.
The Tampa market. Spiral rise.
In Northeast Africa, precisely on the horn of Africa.
But the local plant.
All right, folks. Once again, welcome. This is Frank. I am your host. This is the Revolutionary Repatriation Educational Lecture Series, as part of WCC every Sunday at 1 p.m. Now, before we get started, I wasn't told to do this, so I'm not going to mention the person name here. All right, but I will do this. One of our comrade, one of our father, brother, revolutionary, right? He passed, I think last week or last 2 weeks. I'm not going to call his name. because that was not given to me to do that. But I just want to remember him, and I know some of you already know. He passed, I think, last week. Before he passed, I spoke with him because this is somebody that usually call me every time before the show. And then even during the week, he usually call me and I'll pick up. And many days he said to me, I'm so glad and happy, even though I haven't seen you, but I am glad to be part of WCC, and I am glad that I get to know you people from the WCC family and all of the followers, the listener, and the family of WCC. And he called me every time, and he said, anytime I call you, you always answer and you always return my call. You know, I'm planning sometime, hopefully I'm trying to see, I already bought a ticket, but I don't know if I will still go. But my trip was planned before his death. He lived in Michigan, and I have already planned a trip in Michigan, right? So I was like, you know what? Once I'm in Michigan, I will call him and see if I can meet him so that we can meet face to face. And before his passing, each time we spoke, every time, Frank, I got to see you. When am I going to see you? And I really want to see you. There was a lot of things we discussed behind the scene, but the family of the WCC, the followers, sent a condolences to him. As a revolutionary, you never died. He has gone to join our ancestor. He have now become part of our forefather, and we are asking him to take the message to our forefather, our ancestor, that we are here fighting. We need them. We need their spiritual guardian, their spiritual effort in every way that it can help us. So on behalf of the platform, and I know in Kimba going to do, more of this when he returned. But on behalf of the platform and the Sunday show, we sending our condolences to the family. He was also part of us too. So let's get started. Today's topic, it says, BGate, depopulation plan in Africa. BGate, depopulation plan in Africa. Reject him. African people should reject him. Reject them. African people should reject them. Now, somebody may ask, you say BGate, then why are you saying them? The truth here is, just how BGate as a computer analyst, right, or computer scientist, just how he's fighting to depopulate Africans, to destroy Africans, to kill Africans. That's the same way their government are also fighting. That's the same way their media are also fighting. That's the same way their non-governmental organization or agency are also fighting. There's one Africa. Do you see them fighting China like this? China is one of the most populated nation in the world, or the Asian country or continent. They are one of the most populated, if not the first, in the world. But do you see BGate talking about going there with agenda, that the way he takes his agenda to Africa? Because they have more interest in Africa. Because even the Asian country have interest in Africa. So they are not focusing. The Middle East, they have more interest in Africa. They are not focusing on the Middle East. Every negative agenda is Africa, because they are all focusing on Africa. And their interest in Africa, specifically the West, is more than the other continent or the other nations. So there's a reason. So we are saying we want to reject them. They are killers, and that's why we should reject them. They are killers, and that's why we should reject them. Reject African leaders. Reject the African leaders who are the puppet to BGate, to BGate government, to BGate non-governmental organization. So anything that have to do with the West in dehumanizing African, reject these Africans leaders. These African leaders are nothing but spitters. Let's get started. You know, BGate, his agenda in Africa, right? Since his parents, from our Planned Parenthood coming on war, these people plan have always been depopulation, killing African babies, killing Africans. There's a reason why I show all these videos that we just watched. Like I said, when it comes to the West, between them and Africa, it is never about building Africans. It is never about rescuing Africans or Black people. It is never about independence. It is never about improvement. Has always been about exploitation, taking advantage of us in every possible way that they can find. So we're going to take it bit by bit. But we have already built the thesis, some of the thesis, right, from the videos. So let's go to an article here. What we mean by BGate plan to depopulate, to kill Africans. And you see, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. All right. So the first article here is from the Guardian newspaper, or the Guardian article, whatsoever, right? So from here, the topic you see out here from the article, from the Guardian's newspaper, it says there won't be enough people left. There won't be enough people left. Africa struggle to stop brain drain of doctors and nurses. Now, you may ask, but what does this have to do with BGate? Bear with me. This is WCC. We don't rush into things. We don't come with opinion. We build a case. And you see the truth. We don't come to force you to accept anything here. We bring it, we build it, and you see it. You can take it or you leave it. This is WCC. Okay? This is not a capitalist form or platform, right? That try to indoctrinate people's minds or try to pollute people's mind. Here, we don't pollute your mind. Here, we come with the truth and you see it. Here is a learning area to build Africans, right? To take them from that delusional and mindset of thoughts. Now, it says there won't be enough people left. So what is this exactly talking about here? Now, I watched a video before because we had a lot of things. That's why I didn't bring it. BGate said his depopulation agenda was part of the war. You see, that is why all the war you've been seeing around the African continent in Black nation, it is all something planned. The CIA did plan that in 5 or 10 years or whatsoever, or 15 years or whatsoever, they had a country on their list that they were going to make sure they bring down. And the last country was Sudan. The last country was Sudan. They had Libya there. They brought Libya down. Look at Libya today. I think last week we talked about it. Libya is the 51st state of the United States now. The United States does not have 50 states. The United States have 55 states. And Obama is the head of state for Libya. And Hillary Clinton is the, how do you call it, Secretary of State for Libya. Okay? Don't get it twisted. Obama is the president for the 55th state of Libya. Hillary Clinton is the Secretary General, whatsoever you call it, or how do you call it, or Secretary of State for Libya. Okay? So there won't be enough people left. So what is the time frame that they have here to say there won't be enough people left? So there is an agenda against Africans, to kill Africans, to destroy Africans. Okay? And those things could come through vaccinations, it could come through drugs, it could come through food. Because he said his plan to depopulate the African continent, one was war. But according to him, in our video, war is not working again because nobody wants to fight war now. Nobody wants to fight war. Now, that statement, nobody wants to fight war, it doesn't mean African people wanted to fight war before. The truth is, we were ignorant for the white man to come and tell us this person hates you, this person don't like you, and then we go against each other, we start fighting. Okay? But what BGate was trying to say was, now Africans are smart. They know our plan when it comes to war, when it comes to putting them against each other. You saw that with Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso when they wanted to use ECOWAS for ECOWAS to mobilize an army in the ECOWAS South region to go and fight Niger. That did not happen because African black people all around the world knew their games and stood against it. Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso combined and they formed an alliance to form one army. And then the West African region now, they said to themselves, no matter how we can recruit army in a region, we will not be able to fight these people. And the United States, along with EU, they were ready to provide ammunition just as they did it to Ukraine, to ECOWAS, to go kill Africans, for Africans to go kill their own African brothers and sisters in the interest of Europe and America. So BGate said, these people, now they are smart, they know our game because we stood against a friend. And we brought these ECOWAS leaders to book, to light. BGate said, Africans are smart now, they know our game. Then what BGate said in that video was, the next thing, or the next approach is vaccine. The next approach is through the medical facility, or the how they call it, or the bioweapon industrial complex against Africans. So let's read something here. We're going to build our case here. Let's read. Let's build the case up. The exodus of healthcare workers from Nigeria, Ghana, and Zimbabwe continue despite the World Health Organization list and a range of law to keep them at home. Let's see this. So first of all, you see all these people here. You know what I said? There'll be no, look right here. Look at the heading, right? Look here. There won't be enough people left. Now, you see these people right here sitting here? Look at these people here. Due to poor healthcare. These people here, right? I can tell you, all these people sitting here, due to poor healthcare, all right? Like this man here, his lifetime now might be maybe 10 years. 10 years or even 5 years, he'll be gone. All these folks sitting here, the highest I can get in 20 years. I don't think they'll even reach 20 years. They'll all be dead. They all will be dead. And this little child here, he may not even grow up. You get me right? So they know what they say here. There will be no more enough population left. There's an agenda against African people here. Let's continue here. Let's build a case. Let's build this case here. All right? Be with me. There's a reason why I brought this. Be with me here. Be with me. It took nearly 3 years. 3 hours of coin. Let me not read this. I don't really get time for this. All right. You can get there and meet about 50 people waiting to be attended to, right? This is another person speaking that when they get to the hospital, they will form, so this person was saying, right, they went to the hospital earlier in the morning, like they wanted to be there ahead of time. And this person was 66 years old, as you can see right here, right? I read the article already, so that's why I'm just explaining it, because we have a lot to discuss. This person, 66 years old, she woke up in the morning, right, before even the hospital could be open. She wanted to be there before even doctor or nurses come. But when she got there was already a long line, about 50 people already ahead of her. Let's continue here. So about 50 people waiting to be attended to. Her son said, they said all their nurses and doctors have been leaving for abroad. Just a few left. All the nurses and doctors left for abroad. Okay? Now, this is the lack of leadership again on the part of the African leaders. That is what I said. Reject African leaders. Now, we're building our case. Be with me. Be with me. Be with me. We are building a case here. That is why I started with this article, right? Now, in Nigeria, there is one doctor to every 5,000 patients. Imagine this. Be with me. We are building a case here. In Nigeria, and this is not just Nigeria alone. Nigeria could even be better. Nigeria could even be better, right? That one doctor to 5,000 patients. My God, in Liberia, you might find one doctor to 7,000 or 8,000 patients. Or even more than that. All right? Let's continue here. In Nigeria, there is one doctor to every 5,000 patients. Whereas the average in developed countries is one doctor for about every 250 people in developed countries. Right? In developed countries. Now, again, let me ask, why are the qualified doctors and nurses, all right, who went to school in Africa? Why are they leaving Africa? Why are they leaving Nigeria? Why are they leaving other, at least small developed area, like, in Africa? Why are they leaving, going to the developed world? They just go to the African leaders, to the corrupt African leaders who fail to invest in a healthcare sector in Africa, who fail to pay healthcare workers good salary and good benefit. My God, Liberia is an example. If you check the salary of politicians, they make $15,000 every month. $15,000 every month. Now tell me, if you have about 200 representatives, just 200 representatives, for example, in Liberia, and each of these 200 representatives getting $15,000 every month. Multiply that by 12 months with the 200 people and see how much the country lose just on salary or just on pay, just for senator, not even just for representative, not even the senators, not the executive, not even a cabinet member. And then before you want come to civil servant. So that is why the nurses, they leave. And I believe this is the same thing going on in Nigeria with politician pocket fat. And now that's just their pay, right? But it can also benefit. Go and see their benefits. My God. All these representatives, right? They have people in their home, in their private home, working, and they own government salary. They not own the representative salary. They own government salary. Government pay them. Despite the 15,000 that they are making every month, each representative, they still have people in their private home that are working that are on government payroll. Why should somebody be working for me in my private home, be on government payroll? I thought I should be responsible to pay them from my pay because that's my home. They are maintaining, they are cooking my food or whatsoever. I should be responsible to pay them or to put them on benefits, not the government. But do you see why our qualified, competent people who are not in government leave the African continent to see greener pasture abroad? And it's in the favor of the Western world because they are getting these qualified doctors, these qualified nurses who will come here and be so committed to their job. Because the money they were getting in Africa, they are not getting it. They are getting double that in the Western world. And in fact, they are getting benefit. So they will be more committed because they are now getting good fat salary or paycheck with good benefit. So they will be committed. So they will call back home and say, look, you better leave that country. They will call and tell their other nurses or doctors who are there, you better leave that suffering country and try to find your way here. You see, my life have changed. You see my home, you see my salary, you see my benefits. I'm building a case here. Just be with me. I'm building a case. Like I said, this is WCC. As much as we try to batch the West, we also try to batch our bad governance system. All right? We got to balance the equation here. All right? Now, let's continue here. Let's see something down here. Let's see something down here. Let's see something here. Now, many leave for the US, Canada, UK, and most recently Australia, say the official who asked to remain anonymous. So this person who is giving a story in Nigeria, this person remain anonymous. They didn't want to be called, right? Before they get into problem with the government. The National Association of Nigeria Nurse and Midwife has reported there is now a ratio of 1 nurse to 1,160 patients. Its president, Michelle Hunichi, that's Michael. Michael Hunichi said that more than 75,000 nurses have left Nigeria since 2017. More than 75,000 nurses have left Nigeria since 2017. Do you want to blame these people? No, absolutely not. Let's continue here. See right here, the Red List launched in 2020 with plan to update it every 3 years. Include Nigeria, Ghana, Zimbabwe, and 34 other African countries. Yet, the UK nurses regulator, the Nurses and Midwife Council, says more than 7,000 Nigerian nurses relocate to the UK between 2021 to 2022. Now, do you see why they say there won't be enough people left in Africa? There wouldn't be enough people left in Africa. And some of these things too, right? As we even try to blame our governments. You know, most of these governments in Africa, they are planted by the West. That is why when you're talking about election in Africa, oh, I'm going to vote, I'm going to that. You are living on different planets because your leader have already been chosen. The truth is, for me, I don't believe in election, especially on the African continent. I don't. I believe in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. And that is why there is a plan to remove these three presidents. They are not joint tie, they are leaders, they are presidents. That is why there is a plan to remove them. And that is why these corrupt African leaders who are planted by the West are also angry and envious. I can tell you, we're in 2025, right? By 2030, oh my God. Don't be surprised with the same Guardian, this Guardian newspaper come here and tell you Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso are the most productive nation in the world, especially when it comes to medical facility, when it comes to doctors, nurses, and things. Because that is what Abraham Traore said. You don't have to leave the Sahel nation to go anywhere for education. We're going to create it here. It won't be easy. We know the West will still come and try to fight us. It has been alleged the United States had a strike in Burkina Faso last week. They struck Burkina Faso. Just how they struck the Middle East, and then they say was mistake was this. It has been alleged. I use that word, it has been alleged. They struck Burkina Faso, and then they destroyed one of the key major communication system there. And that is why I'm backing Ghana. I am backing Ghana. Your honor, sir. John Mahama, your honor. Take away the American base or these foreign bases from Ghana. We have seen recently Senegal had removed France, the most recent developed one. We want all these foreign military out of the African continent. Your honor, we know you can do it. Now, data from Ghana Registered Nurse and Midwife Association show that nearly 4,000 nurses left the country in 2022. In Zimbabwe, more than 4,000 healthcare workers, including 2,600 nurses, left in 2021 and 2022, the government said. Why will Africa don't go through this? Why will the population of Africa won't decline? Why will it won't decline? Because just how doing the transatlantic slave trade, just how doing the Arab slave trade, where manpower left the African continent, where brain left the African continent, and they built the Arab war, and they built the Western wall. Yeah, that is why you have traffic light. That's why black men build those things. They did not go to school. Naturally, we are gifted. That is why the Most High said he chose Israel above all people. He chose the Israelites. Let me specify that because there's a difference between Israel and the Israelites. Israel is the actual country founded 1948. And the Israelites are the biblical people of ancient days, the creation of the world. So that is why even in today Africa, people build planes with no knowledge of sitting in class to build plane. People build guys of no knowledge to sit in classroom. They have never been in a classroom, but they build guys. But the opportunity are not being given to us because of the same bad governance. So just how the other slave trade and the transatlantic slave trade, all these brains left the African continent, this is the same way the brains are leaving when they're leaving the African continent again. Going to the Western world. Yeah, the black man built, how they call it, a bulb. Light bulb today. But they can't lie to you, they say that white man, Ellison big bulb. Ellison got brain to big bulb. We can sit here on GPS. Black woman again. Invention. Heater. In a room, you have heater, or in your house is black person invention. Not the white man. We can sit here and name it over and over and over. My point here is, because of bad governance again, we are letting these nurses leave the African continent. While Bill Gates found that necessary and said, I am coming. I think now he's telling his government just how he are going through propaganda with the media, just how they are going through proxy war. I can also go through healthcare because their brains are leaving the African continent. Oh, then our depopulation strategy in the healthcare fee will work. Are you getting it now? I told you I am building my thesis. Be with me. Now, let me take this out. I know you have already getting it now, right? Let me take this out. Because if we have all these nurses that are living in the African continent who will stay in Africa, Bill Gates will not go there trying to save Africans' life when they have never been about saving African life. Bill Gates was once in Kenya. He asked our African girls, 13, ages, I think 12 to 18. And some of them most of them could not get breath. In fact, they could not even get breath. Some of them who were 13 or 12 when they took it, by the time they reached 18, 20, they couldn't get breath again. Their womb was destroyed through Bill Gates vaccination. It took Kenyan scientists to come out, doctors, to come out with that research and did it funny. All the people that took Bill Gates vaccine, all of them, their womb was destroyed. They couldn't get pregnant. Depopulation. So today, Bill Gates again is in Kenya. Today, Bill Gates again is in Nigeria with two different agendas. In Kenya, he's there with healthcare. In Nigeria, he's there with GMO to provide food, to be the one to feed Nigerians, again because of bad government practices. So you see the agenda of Bill Gates also. Bill Gates. He's guilty. Bill Gates. So you see how they take advantage of us. So now all of our doctors are leaving, who are learned brilliant. No more, nobody there to take care of us again. And then a computer scientist now who have never sat in class when it comes to healthcare issue, who have never sat in class. In fact, he have never taken one biology class. But this man is the man today that is talking about healthcare. So you see how they found loophole to take advantage of us? Let's continue. Be with me here. I will take this out. Let's go to the next article. We're building something here. All right. We're building something here. Let's go to the next article. Let's go to the next article. Now, the next article is still also from the Guardian. I mean, I tried to take this out here. It don't want to come out, and I don't want to disturb it. So let's just stay there. So the next article here, right? Now, listen to this. And there's a reasons I brought this again. Everything is based on reason. There's a reason I brought this, right? After listening to the first article, right? And then I brought this. Now, you see why the West, they don't promote education in Africa. They do not promote education that will empower us in Africa, that will make us independent in Africa. They don't. What they promote in Africa is railroad, that they will be able to take our mineral resources to the port and then take it overseas. What they promote in Africa are churches, donation to churches for these African pastors, these African demons and devil to continue preaching the white man religion, to continue to keep us in captivity. These are the places, mostly, their donation go. Now, don't get it twisted. Like I said, there are some areas they provide incentive. But let me be clear to you here. Providing incentive, okay, to people just to take advantage of them is a devilly act. Because that incentive that you provide, it will never empower them. It will never take them from the situation that they are in. But many, in fact, it will keep them in perpetual incentive mentality. And then as you continue to explore them, because with that mentality, right, of incentive that they receive from you, they will never, ever put themselves in a position to free themselves. What we call mental slavery. What we call mental slavery. Now, listen to this. There will be no more population left. The truth of the matter here is the Western world have already come out with a research. And these people, anytime they come out with a research, don't think it's in your favor. Even though as you may read and it may sound good to be in your favor, it is never in your favor. Don't get it twisted. So they came out with research already some years back. We have reported on it numerous times. And they said by the year 2050, almost the entire world will be Africans. My brothers and sisters, some of you, like I'm telling you, I am not African American. I am black. I am FBA. The people, oh my God. Let's continue here. They say by the year 2050, half of the world will be Africans. Now, that might happen if we wake up against the West. If we wake up to take things into our own hands and do our things and start depending on Western narrative. Like Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso are doing. That might happen. But if not, do you think these people came out with a research to tell you by the year 2050, half of the world will be Africans? You think it's in their favor? You think they love that? Ask yourself, if by the year 2050, half of the world will be African, then what will become Europe and America? If by the year 2050, half of the world will be Africans, what will become of Europe and America? Oh, you're not asking those questions. Because they are asking those questions. They did their research. Now they put it out there. But guess what? You'll be so delusional and thinking that these people are not working behind the scene to make sure by the year 2050, half of the world will not be African. You will be delusional because they are setting and working on it to make sure that should not happen. Because if that happens, that means Europe becomes third world, the West world becomes third world. Because by the way, when they say by the year 2050, half of the world will become African, that does not mean they will be black. Migration will take place. And these people will gain African citizenship. They will become Africans. They will gain citizenship and they will become Africans. Then you see, we reported on it, I think, some 2 years ago or 3. No, that was last year, right? The new president just came in. Oh, Nana Akufo-Addo. Then you see white people getting citizenship, about 300 people of white. They got citizenship in Ghana. You didn't see that? You didn't see that? So when they say by the year 2050, half of the world will become African, it doesn't mean half of the world will be black. It doesn't mean that. Even though we know there will be intermarriages and stuff, because, you know, in a Western world here, all right, not sounding racist, but you see these white girls, what they do to our black celebrity, they don't go around poor black men. They go around the rich white celebrities, a soccer player, or a basketball player, or a football player. Not that they want to be with them. Do you see recently how they call it travel hunter? These guys would learn. They see all these things. But the new breed of black celebrity coming out, it seems that they're not learning. They're not looking, they're not reading. They're not gaining experience from the other people's past mistakes. Look at Travel Hunter. The girl, they're not born for him. But after what, 6 months or whatsoever months he married, they get put in divorce. And now she's requesting for $40 million. $40 million United States dollars from him. But this was the man that went on social media platform whatsoever talking about this white lady or white girl against all the black girls or against all the black folks, trying to protect his so-called wife. But that could be topic for another day, maybe talking about celebrity. But what I'm trying to say here is, that's what will happen. Most of these folks will seek opportunity of the black man. And that's how they were born black babies too. But so equally so when they're saying by the year 2050, half of the world will be African, doesn't mean the half of the world will be black. No. Most of these people will go to Africa and gain a citizenship and come back. And then when it comes to that point, where Europe and America, their empire have fallen because every great empire fall. All right? So all these empires are going to fall. Rome fall. Rome fall. Africa once upon a time was a great empire. It was never called Africa in the first place. And by the name Africa started from Algeria. Okay? It started from Algeria. When the Italian went in Algeria, they fought, they seized the land, okay? And then they named that place Africa after the man that conquered the place. And then every European that came now, everywhere they settled now, they call it Africa. Africa, that had a name spread. But Africa was once called Akuba land. So Akuba land fall. It was an empire that fell, that fall. The Garden of Eden in the Bible. You'll be surprised. Jesus Christ was born in Kenya. You may not even know. You may be surprised. That was the birthplace of Jesus Christ. The man to whom ignorant people call Jesus Christ today. Because that his name was not Jesus. Because if in the Bible it said thou shalt not add, neither subtract to the word of God, and the time of Jesus is when he existed, the letter J did not exist. So his name was Yeshua or Yahweh. Okay? His name was Yahweh. But the white Jesus came and changed it to Jesus and called it Jesus. So if he said you can't subtract, not add to the word of God, then why you change your name? And today we still carry Jesus. So you have added. In fact, you change his identity. You have changed his identity. The same way a lot of our people identity are changed. That is another topic for another day, right? But I'm just letting you know it was never called Africa. So all these great empires fall. The Garden of Eden in the Bible, that's Africa. It fall. Akubaland, the mother of mankind, that's the meaning of Akubaland. They all fall. So every empire will fall. So even Washington D.C. know this empire can stay longer. It will fall. Europe, they know they will fall. So they are going to the African continent, gaining citizenship and coming back secretly. You don't even know. They are going there trying to, going there for tour. They're taking a tour and thing. They are actually trying to see where they can connect. All this traveling they're doing. They are traveling to see where their spirit will lead them, where they can connect to see as their land. As for Liberia is like their safe haven for them. Liberia is their safe haven for them. In fact, Liberia is their home. They travel there every time. They already know tomorrow, if anything, Liberia is going to be one of the places that they're plenty. They're going to be there. They're already going. So be set here and talk about I'm not African American, I'm not this, I'm not that. They all are connecting and then coming back. Before you marry a man, you will go back to your own land, you will never get land to build on. And then you'll be slave in your own continent again. When you are denying the continent, I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not that, I'm not this, I don't want to be called this. Like I said, it's your right, but don't disconnect yourself. That's what I can tell you. Let's continue here. Now, World Diabetes Day, over 10 million Nigerians have diabetes, kill more than COVID and cancer. Diabetes in Africa, it kills more than COVID and cancer. Now, this is not coincidence. These are things that are planted, that are put in people through this vaccine, through this food. Now, why are they using? Now, first of all, look at the diaspora. One of the leading disease or sickness in Black community is diabetes. And diabetes, it then come with a lot of illness. COVID, it don't come with different illnesses. Cancer, it don't come with different illnesses. Okay? But diabetes, it come with different things. Diabetes come with kidney. I mean, we're going to see some of these things. So that's why they use diabetes. Why in the US or in a so-called developed world, only in Black community, you see the higher rate of diabetes. It's the food. Because Black people don't produce their own food. Black people don't make their own food. Now, I said, be with me, right? I am leading to a place. So all these sickness in Black community, in the diaspora, are planted there. In a food that Black people consume. That is why the leading sickness among Black community is diabetes. Let's continue here. There's a reason why the Western world do not invest in healthcare in Africa to train competent people in Africa. There's a reason. And you see these puppet leaders that are planted in the African nations by the West, they tell them where to focus. They tell them where to focus in the country. For example, they tell them, don't focus in agriculture because we don't want you to feed yourself. These are planned. These are things planned. Why you think Abraham Traore said, we will grow our own food. We don't want people feeding us. We won't be hefty. Because he knows that the food that is being brought to the African people is unhealthy. So they tell these African leaders, do not invest in agriculture because we want to continue feeding you people. Healthcare system, don't invest in it. Roads, don't invest in it. You see, when China started with Britain on these things, the West were angry. Washington, D.C. were angry. We saw Biden, when he was president, he spoke against China, building roads. He said China have taken different model than the United States and Europe. China came and spoiled the game for them. China came and opened the eyes of Africans to development, to how partnerships supposed to work. China came and destroyed it. Russia came and destroyed it. Oh yeah, we're going to get to Russia today again. Some of you so-called dumb-headed Africans, you hate your own brothers and sisters, but the U.S. is here making peace with Donald Trump. I mean, or with Russia. Russia was in the U.S. last week, because today Sunday, that's just a few days ago. And he was giving the presidential treatment. Then you so-called African, when you guys come here, they pack you guys in bus. Donald Trump, in fact, Donald Trump went to the airport. Which one of the American leader ever went to the airport to wait for you Africans to come down and then salute you? Which one of the American leader did it? Donald Trump was at the airport to make sure Putin was safe. Donald Trump was not in your office to the White House. Donald Trump walked. Not walk, but he went to the airport and stood up there till Putin landed. And they both walk. See the protection. See American jet bomber in air protecting Putin. You think Putin and these people, they are enemies? You think so? Now, the U.S., Europe, you got to be enemy in Africa there, and then you don't want to go make peace. But here are they making peace. You have jet bomber in air, making sure Putin was safe. What happened? The two leaders rode the same car. Trump and Putin rode the same car. Which one of the American leader, you so-called dumb-headed African leader, came here and you met them standing to the airport waiting for you, and you all rode the same car? They pack all of you guys in buses just like sardine. Secret service that was guarding Putin. And let me see, when Putin was in the air going back, see American jet bomber on side. The same way Putin protected Abraham Traore when he invited Abraham Traore to Russia, where Abraham Traore plane was in the middle and you got all these jets. That's the same way Putin was protected on American air until Putin got to the side of the Russian air. And then before the American jet bomber turned back, and then the Russian jet bomber took over, because they were already told the American side, they stopped there, you can't go to the Russian side. So they stopped, they came back, and then the Russian jet bomber took over and they left. See the protection. Which one of the African leader they did it to you people? Because you guys are not leader. They don't see you guys as leader. They see you guys as puppet. They see you guys as stupid. They see you guys as dumb. They see you guys as slave. Because you accept it to be treated that way. And then when we say some of these things, then you so-called dumb-headed, stupid African leaders, you look at us to be bad. But we are telling you to wake up. You think they count you people as leader? Let's continue here. Now, it says here, as Nigeria joined the rest of the world today to observe World Diabetes Day, the Endocrinology and the Metabolism Society of Nigeria has warned that over 10 million Nigerians are living with diabetes. Over 10 million Nigerians are living with the disease of diabetes, and the numbers are expected to double by 2030. Listen to this. This is just Nigeria. All right? This is just Nigeria. So don't think that this is not also diabetes, not also there in Ghana, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Ivory Coast. The list go on. Don't think it's not there. It's there. But this is just Nigeria that is telling its own. Okay? So Nigeria that we call a superpower or that is most sophisticated, they are the one that report its own. My God, Liberia that don't produce our own food. The number of diabetes rate in our country. But listen to this. They have warned that over 10 million Nigerians are living with the disease of diabetes. And the numbers are expected to double by 2030 if nothing is done urgently. Right? Listen to this. Bill Gates said, okay, then I think this is where my depopulation strategy have to go. But listen to this. Listen to the result here, right? What happened? Now, the society also described a situation where there are only 150 endocrinologists in a population of more than 220 million. More than 220 million to manage the condition, right? More than 220 million, you only have 150 doctors who treat that disease. In a country that are more than 220 million. Adding that, diabetes is a major cause of blindness. So now, this is a reason why, right? They took diabetes, right? To inject our food, to poison our food, right? With diabetes. Okay? Because these are the things that come with diabetes. Blindness, kidney failure, heart attack, stroke, and lower limb, and to some extent, amputation. They color your legs or they color your hand. So you see why they took this path of a disease. So it might take time, right? So they're looking at it like, you know what? In 10 years, about, let's just say 10 million of Nigeria will be dead. You see? Depopulation. In 10 years, about 10 million of Nigeria will be dead. In 10 years, about 90 millions of Africans will be dead. Because diabetes comes with a lot of illness. Blindness, you see that? Kidney disease, kidney failure, heart attack, stroke, lower limb, and then amputation of legs and hands. They call it off because of diabetes. So there's a reason they take this path. Why you don't see this signal of a diabetes mostly in white area? Because the food are different. The food they carry in those places are different than the food they bring in the black community. Even the water we drink in the black community are different than the water in the white neighborhood. So Nigeria, Bill Gates is telling you, don't feed yourself. He's coming to feed you. Depopulation agenda is on Bill Gates. And by the way, they already feed us. All right. So look here, right? Look at the statistics here. Let me see here. Let me see. We'll take this article up, but let me see something here. Okay. So you see right here, right? Because people are Bill Gates feed us in Africa. That is why, right? We are getting all these diseases. Because now our food are coming from overseas. We import food now. When we have all the soil, the richest soil almost in the world, Africa. But we import food from overseas. Look at what this research say here about diabetes in Nigeria. In 1960 to 1970, diabetes was found in only 0.5 to 1% of adults in Nigeria between 1960 and 1970. So let's just go back. This means, right, Before even 1960, we can say maybe there was no diabetes. You see, before 1960, there was no diabetes. The time we were making food, because this 1960 here, these are era, right? Where they're even getting this 0.5 to 1%, right? That means these were people who were eating Western food. People who are living with these Westerners in Africa there. Because Western food were not meant for us. We eat organic food. African people eat organic food. You don't eat leftover food. You don't eat GMO food. You don't eat food grown in a lab. You eat organic food straight from the soil. You eat fresh food. You get it from the soil, you cook it, you eat it. That's it. So before the 60, that means if from the 60 to the 70, it was 0.5 to 1%. That means before the 60, it was 0.00000. But let's read. In the 1960 to 1970, diabetes was found in only 0.5 to 1% of adults in Nigeria. In the 1980s, so you see now, right, as we were living from our own natural grown food production, right, and then going onward, it started changing. In the 1980 to 1970, the figures rose to 1.4 to 2.2% of idle, 1.4 to 2.2% of idle between 1980 to 1990. It rose now. It rise. Now, currently, listen to this. Currently, there is about 5.7% of adults affected with diabetes and 10 to 15% with pre-diabetes. This is just Nigeria, folks. This is not even the African continent. And all of these are happening because we want to live the Western life. We want to eat Western food. We were not made for that. Our body were not made for that. We want to eat fast food. Let's continue here. Look right here. In urban towns and cities in Nigeria, 1 in 10 adults have diabetes, and we have just 90 to 100 million adults in Nigeria. Almost 10 million people in Nigeria have diabetes, while 30% of people with hypertension also have diabetes. There will be no more population left. Depopulation agenda is going on. Depopulation agenda is going on. We're going to see the next article. So we building case here. Just be with me here. And there's a reason why I'm bringing all of these things, right? There's a reason. And then we don't even have the money. See the money here. Even though I didn't convert it, right, to see how much is 30,000 naira, right? To see how much is 30,000 naira. But they are just telling you, right? In Nigeria, a typical patient with 8 diabetes, right, with diabetes, spend 20,000 naira to 30,000 naira to properly control the disease. This is the minimum and average medication, blood tests, and clinic attendance. Now, look right here with the US. In the United States, up to 300 billion is spent on diabetes. Up to 300 billion is spent on diabetes per annum per year. The figures for total diabetes expenditure in Nigeria are uncertain. One viva of insulin is 6,000 naira to 10,000 naira, and patient use 1 or 2 per month. Now, why am I bringing all these? There's an article that we are about to go to, right? But before we go to that article, these, right, are all issues in Africa, right? To depopulate us, right? To kill us, to destroy us. But Bill Gates is not looking at this to say, you know what? If Bill Gates want to improve the healthcare sector, if Bill Gates want to improve Africans' life, why will Bill Gates not invest in the healthcare sector to be able to use his money to pay more healthcare workers when we already have the experts? Because these experts are leaving Nigeria, for example, coming to the US. Just tell Nigerians, no, your experts should be kept in Nigeria. Don't go to the US, don't go to Canada, don't go to UK, don't go to Australia, because they have institutions that can train people, right? But you, Nigeria, stay here. Why can't Bill Gates use his money, right, to pay Nigerian workers good salary, good benefit? If you want to improve in the healthcare system, but you see, Bill Gates is a liar and a killer. Bill Gates is happy of what's going on, so he's also using another means. While this is destroying Africans, Bill Gates have come out with another method to kill and destroy Africans. We're going to get to that article. Because Bill Gates said he wants to improve the healthcare sector or the health system of African. But the improvement of Africa he's talking about is not to prevent diabetes, it's not to invest in healthcare sector, right? To tell Nigeria not to go overseas, we'll pay you more. If your government don't want to pay you, if your government don't want to give you good benefit, we'll give it to you and invest in more research. Bill Gates don't want to do that, right? There's a reason I brought this article out. So be with me. So that when we get to that article, now you will ask yourself, because when we get to that article, I will read the article, right? Now you will ask yourself, but why Bill Gates will take this initiative and then he forgo all the illness and all the disease and things that are going on in Africa, but saying he want to improve the healthcare sector, but then he talking about he want to depopulate the African continent. Because you can't say you want to depopulate the African continent, then you're telling us you want to improve the healthcare sector. And the way in which he's going about improving the healthcare sector, it just proves that he wants to depopulate the African continent and not to help the Africans. Because if you want to improve the healthcare sector, these are the things that you need to improve on to create status, so that African won't be going to abroad, or nurses or doctors won't go abroad. They will stay in Africa to treat Africans, to do more research, to come out with new vaccines other than European vaccine, so that Africans themselves will come out with vaccine that they will treat themselves. Now, even though I'm not expecting you to do that, but I'm giving you solution if you say you want to improve the healthcare sector in Africa. But folks, Bill Gates is a liar, right? There's a reason I did not just go to his article. There's a reason I brought this article, so that you can see. Because if I wasn't going to do this and then just go and bring his article, you will never understand the aim of Bill Gates, and you'll be sitting here telling me, but friend, Bill Gates is not doing the wrong thing. In fact, he wants to help Africa. But how can you help Africa when all these things are killing Africans and you are not improving African life? Now, listen to this. They say all factors fueling an increase in diabetes, in the number of diabetes, right, cases, as they have been said, it is because of Western life, right? It is because of Western life. Africans, we want to live Western life. Now in fact, if you go to Nigeria, You have all these fast food restaurants there. You have KFC in Nigeria. You have KFC in Ghana. McDonald's. I mean, all of these fast food restaurants, you have them in Africa. Why should you have Africans? If you are producing fast food restaurant, do you have to do a Western or a fast food restaurant? You have the soil. If you want to produce fast food restaurant in Africa, you can do it. But I mean, do it with African chicken. Do it with African poultry. Because all these chicken you see here are lab grown. For example, look at Thanksgiving. When Thanksgiving Day is coming, where the turkey come from? And right after Thanksgiving Day, no more turkey. No more turkey. So that means, do you think farmer will want to invest in turkey? Because turkey is just eating for one day. That's it. After that, you will never see turkey on the market. You will never see turkey in the garden. You will not see turkey on the farm. But you just see turkey on that particular one day because it's a lab-grown chicken or meat or bird. So if you want to grow your own fast food restaurant in Africa, do it with your own meat, your own chicken, your own product from the farm in Africa. Now Western imported chicken, they are lab grown, and that is why they're destroying Africans and killing Africans. Lot of diabetes in Africa when you don't have nurses or your doctors are leaving. It is part of the agenda to destroy and kill Africans. So you see here, all of these things are improving, how they call it, or diabetes are increasing because of Western lifestyle that Africans want to live. Smoking, drinking are all factors, right? In Africa, for example, once upon a time, smoking was like a taboo, especially to see women smoking in Africa. You want to see our old folks doing their lab or all this stuff. They how they call it. They put it here and then put fire here and then do that. That was it. They used to do. But now, this in Africa is a culture. You see females standing with cigar in her hair, popping. Meanwhile, it was taboo to even see the woman drinking in public. To see woman smoking. It was taboo. Even it was taboo to see men drinking in public. You see men drinking maybe on an occasion and then like wedding ceremony or engagement and things. They sit down there, break their cola nut and eat and drink the leper wine, you know, or local wine and things. Or they have specific place that they will sell drinks that they are local wine. You go and sit down there and drink, not even on the street. But all this Western life, in fact, our local wine, Africans don't even want to drink our local wine now. We want to drink American wine. And have you noticed? Scientists, research have proved that American wine in liquors, right? In the liquor store and things, is poisonous. It has a lot of disease in it. It has sickness in it. There are drinks they have. There are liquor they have. They have a lot of disease in it. And now we consume it. You see, African import all these drinks in Africa. That's where the diabetes coming from. We are not even afraid to smoke now. We stand all over now. We smoke because we think it's right. Just because it is American people right, that doesn't mean you should take it as a right. You have different society, different culture. So you see, Western lifestyle is very harmful. This is the research from the Guardian. And they are telling you here, Western lifestyle is very harmful. Right here, Western lifestyle is very harmful in that it encourages a sedentary life, consumption of dense food, fast food, and soft drink, and stress. You see that? Now, I will take this out here, right? I will take this out. Let's go to BGate article. I will take this out here. Now that you have seen this, right? You are seeing what's going on. If anybody want to improve the health sector, or anybody want to improve the healthcare or the healthcare facility of Africa, of African, right? Do you think they approach Bill Gates? The article we're about to read here. Do you believe Bill Gates? There's a reason I brought these two articles. Because I didn't just want to go read Bill Gates article. You were never ever going to understand my point here, even if I was going to argue. So now I want you to be the judge. Let me bring the article up. I want you to be the judge, okay? When it comes to the West, in Africa, it's never about building Africans. It's never about being there for Africans. Now that you have seen the two articles, right? Okay, we need to improve our healthcare sectors. We need improvement. We need investment, right? So if anybody is coming, right, these are the things we need, because we're all definitely doing the research. So I can sit here now and tell anybody who say, okay, I want to go improve the healthcare sector, and I can give the solution because I already know some of the factors or reason that I behind these illnesses or sickness or shortcoming of Africans in the healthcare field, right? I'm not a healthcare, a doctor or nurse and things. But based on my research now, I can give you some solution as to what to do if you want to help us. But not with this rubbish Kira Bill Gates is talking about. Let's continue here. Now, Bill Gates Foundation, Bill Gates Foundation New World Order. Bill Gates Foundation New World First Contraceptive for Africans, women. Contraceptive for Africans, women. What it means for Africa. Bill Gates Foundation New World First Contraceptive for African women. What it means for Africans. Now, I'm going to read this, right? The first, when you see it, you would think that, yeah, Bill Gates loves Africans. He want to do this, right? If you did not do your research well and you just read this article, you will argue with people who try to tell you Bill Gates means not good for African. You will argue with that person. Now, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is set to launch a new long-item contraceptive in Africa, beginning with Kenya later this year. 2025, as part of US $2.5 billion commitment. Now, you see, first of all, we Africans, right? We love to hear money, but the time somebody called billion or money or million, right? Then boom, we see that as investment. We see that as investor. Look, there is no Western investor in Africa. There is no Western investor in Africa, and there's no Western investor that will come to Africa to invest. Absolutely not. They all come with agenda. They all. First of all, you will never ever see that 2 billion, that 2.5 billion. You will never see it. You see, and this is what our forefather told us. If we don't take our independence serious, these Westerners will come. These Westerners will come. All right? These Westerners will come in a form of investors. If we don't take our independence serious, and by the way, that independent, it did not just mean, right, political independence. That independent did not just mean political independence. And that is why most of you so-called Negro happy African things, when I say independent, then it means you have a black president. It means you voting. It means you have a black senators. It means you have black representative or black those things. It means you have black cabinet member. It means you have a black president that can travel to the Western world. that is not independent. And that have never been independent. Independent come with all the packages. Independent come with all the packages. Political, social, economy, and so forth. They come with all of that. Now, beginning with Kenya, later this year, as part of US $2.5 billion commitment to accelerate research and expand services for the healthcare of African women. Listen to this. Listen to this, right? Now that you have seen the two articles we read, that is just, in fact, that is just one disease, diabetes. That is just one disease, diabetes, that is destroying Africans. Just one. I'm not in it. We did not even go to any other area. It's just one. But now, here is BGate. Here is BGate telling you, in order, right, to improve the healthcare sector of Africans, he had to create, right, a device that you will insert in African women so that it will destroy their womb, so that they won't be able to give birth. What does that have to do with improving the healthcare sector of Africa? What does that have to do with diabetes? What does that have to do with heart attack? What does that have to do with heart failures? You see, BGate, how he's a devil and a killer. You see why I brought the two articles so that you can see. BGate said they want to create a contraceptive, a device that you can insert into women so that it will destroy their reproductive organ, so that it will destroy their reproductive system, that they will no longer be able to get pregnant, that they will no longer be able to give birth. Depopulation. Then how can this man come and tell you, say, he want to improve the healthcare sector? Is this how you improve the healthcare sector of people who are dying from various illness? Is this how you improve it? So in other words, BGate is telling you, saying diabetes is a major disease on the African continent that comes with a lot of factors. For example, like heart failure, kidney disease, heart attack, stroke, and things, right? He's not going to focus on that because it's already killing Africans. So it's already depopulating Africans. So he's going to come with another means to also help reinforce the depopulation. You see, when it comes to the Western world in Africa, it has never been about friendship. It has always been about taking control and advantage of the African people because of their resources. Now you understand, right? Let's continue. Let's continue. Now you understand where we're going now. Now you understand why I brought those two articles. Because these people are speaking code. And in order to understand the code they speak in, you have to dig thoroughly. You have to listen. You have to open your ear, your mind. You have to ask questions. And this question that we are asking today is based on the two articles that we brought out. You cannot improve somebody's healthcare sector like that by putting a device in women so that it will destroy their womb, so that they will not get pregnant. How does that have to do with improving the healthcare sector? Let's continue here. Let's go back to the article. Let's continue here. We will break it down. BGate is a demon. He's a devil. He should not be allowed on the African continent with his agenda. His agenda is to depopulate, is to destroy the African continent for his generation. BGate is evil. Now, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is launching a new, affordable, long-term contraceptive in Africa, starting with Kenya. The contraceptive, including a hormonal IUD, effective for up to 8 years. For up to 8 years. Now, they're going to put this divide in you, right? This divide going to be in you for 8 years. But again, let me ask you, some of you may say, oh, it's good thing, it's that. First of all, we already destroyed the narrative that he's want to improve the healthcare sector. That's not how you build or improve healthcare sector when you ignoring the things that are destroying Africans, right? That are depopulating Africans. And then you also want to act on that in different way to depopulate Africans. Now, let's go back. Then what they're saying, Bill Gates, who went to Kenya and said he want to vaccinate or how to call it, African youth, so that by the time they get at the age of getting pregnant, they won't have to take polio vaccine again for their pregnancy, because the polio vaccine that they will take, and they were taking it at the age of 12. There's Bill Gates here in Kenya. But you see, we don't have leaders that have the guts to sue these people here, to take money out of them, to ban them from coming to the African continent. We don't have no president that has the guts. Maybe it should be the AES national. But we don't have no president on the African continent that has the guts to do that. This idiot of a man, this idiot of a devil, this idiot of an animal went to Africa in Kenya. And then vaccinate the Kenyan girls ages 12 to about 18, saying that when they get pregnant, they don't have to take polio vaccine again. But now you are pouring steroid in these children, and it destroy their womb. And now when these girls reach to the age of birth, like they wanted to get children, now they wanted to have their own family and thing, none of them could get pregnant. And that's how I think it was doing President Jomo Kenyatta time. He started saying, because at that time they did not know. That's how President Jomo Kenyatta came up to say, right? Every man should have 2 wives or 3 wives. Yes, that's how he came up with this. And now knowing it was Bill Gates' agenda, okay, evil agenda that made these African girls or Kenyan girls not to get pregnant, because he had destroyed their womb with vaccine that he imported into them. So imagine that this man is putting a device into you that will be in you for 8 years. You know what that device is going to do to you? He laughed. First of all, he said, you are giving your polio vaccine so that when you reach to the time of childbearing, you won't have to take polio vaccine in your pregnancy. So you are only giving your polio vaccine that will be in your system, that will protect your child. Now he was destroying you. So do you still believe this man to come and put matter into you that will destroy your womb, and then telling you it's in you to prevent you from getting pregnant? Is this how you improve the healthcare sector? Bill Gates is a demon and a liar. He's a Satan of synagogues the Bible spoke of. He's not allowed on the African continent, and don't allow him on the African continent. He's a devil. Now, while receiving praise, concern were raised about the ethical implication of externally funded family planning initiative in Africa. While receiving praises, other people praising, like I said, if I was never going to bring, because we have audience, right? And some of our audience, they don't have the time to go do research, to put pieces together. That is why I did not just jump to this article, because no matter how I'm going to just talk here, but at least, right now, if they see that article, they will be able to rationalize their thought, like, I think this boy is making sense. Because what he said from the 2 articles, and Bill Gates said he wants to come and improve the healthcare sector, this is not improving healthcare sector, because already we are depopulating, already we are dying already. And then he's also coming, instead of all replenishing, like reproducing or replacing the already dead one or the people that will die, right? Instead of replacing them, then he's already coming as well, right? To stop us from replacing them. Population control. Did you understand that? Did you understand? Just from the article we read, it's just one disease, which is diabetes, that is destroying Africans, that is killing Africans. I'm not even talking about HIV that they have planted in Africans. I'm not talking about coronavirus that they plant, but that in our way. I'm not talking about Ebola then that came. All right. I'm not talking about TB then that they want to spread on the African continent. I'm not even talking about that and other diseases that we don't even know about that are dead. This is just diabetes that is destroying Africans. I thought Bill Gates supposed to come and say, you know what? No. All these Africans are dying like this. We need to improve on the healthcare sector so that, you know, we can prevent diabetes, we can prevent some of these illness, so that these African women will be able to give birth to replace the people that will die 10, 15 years to come. Because, folks, let me tell you, these people are doing these things, right? You may not die right away, but they know. Some of you in 10 years, you will die, you will die, you will die. So they know that when they do these things, right, in 10 years' time, they will target certain number of people that will be dead. The same way they target certain number of people to die during coronavirus. You know the coronavirus was made for Africa? But a leak out. The virus was made in the US. It had been alleged. Let me use that. It had been alleged it was made in the US, but they took it to China to try it. Because the bat they wanted to try on, they had the bat here, right? But the bat they have here, it was not a bat that had the same DNA as black people. These are research that we have been doing, but I'm using the word alleged, okay? The bat they had here, right? The bat did not have the DNA as black, because black people, there are certain bats that have the same DNA as bat. It may not be as 100%, right? But they have the same DNA. So China was the one that had that bat. So they decided, because if the bat that you want to do the test on, why must you have the same DNA as black people? And then the bat that do not have the same DNA as black people, you don't want to test this on it. Because that means the coronavirus was made for black, it was not made for other people. So they wanted to test it on a bat to see the effect that I was going to do on the DNA of that bat. And then before taking it to the African continent, they see what they did, allegedly, they did with Ebola. So when they take it to China, that's how our ancestors did not agree for it to happen. It leaked out in China. And the Chinese who agreed, who were working with the American lab here, our ancestors said, we're coming for you. And that's how illegal in China, it destroyed them too. For them partaking. And it did not end there. Our ancestors said, you want to do this to our people, it will destroy your nation too. And that's how too, we're here in America here too. It has been alleged. We use that alleged. So they took it in China because the bat there had the same DNA as black people to try on them. So you see how wicked and demonic Bill Gates is. Is this how you improve healthcare sector for black people? When we are already dying, are you not improving the healthcare sector to replenish the people that are dying or the people that will die 10, 15 years from now so that we can start replenishing? Because the people that are already having those diseases are dying, they're going to die. 10, 15 years from now, they will all die, they will all finish. And then as they're finishing, we're already reproducing to bring new baby then to replace those people. But Bill Gates said no. You know what he's coming to do? He's coming to help decrease the population, to put a device into African women so that it will destroy their womb, so that they will not born again. Because when he did in Kenya, he was not satisfied. Because the Kenyan government did not come. We don't have no government to fight for us. And that is why even the Most High said, you will have no might when I lead you into captivity. You will have no might. And your enemies. You want healthcare sector, you will go to your enemy. You want food, you go to your enemy. You want clothes, you go to your enemy. Until you recognize me and come back to me as your forefather. and do what I want you to do and start worshiping the white man Jesus, you will remain under captivity. That's why we have no might. Do you see Bill Gates going to China or the Asian country? Do you see Bill Gates going to China? They have billions of people. The Chinese are billions. Do you see Bill Gates going out to talk about depopulation or population control? Because there is nothing in China they want. The diamond, the gold, it's in China, Africa. That's what they want. Their agenda is to destroy you before 2050. So when they told you say by 2050 half of the world will be African, you should sit down there and believe that okay, they won't do anything. They will sit and then wait for half of the world 2050 to become African. You'll be insane. Look here. The device is inserted into the uterus in a woman. The device is inserted into the uterus where it releases progestin, where it releases progestin. It's a satanic hormones that thickening, very thick, that will destroy the women's womb. A satanic hormone that thickening, that's taking in cervical muscle to prevent the sperm from reaching the fertilized egg. So this device, when it inserted into you, is a systemic hormones, right? It's very thick. It's like a wall. So the sperm will go, boom, it hit it, it come back. Boom, it hit it come back. The sperm die. Then your womb will not be fertilized. You can't get birth. African women, do you want this? Bill Gates says he's coming to destroy your egg so that you can't have children, so that you can't born. Now, when you marry to a man, you can't give that man child. The whole day, you'll be in confusion when a man wants child. But you went and put this thing in your womb when Bill Gates said yes. Put it there. You went and took it and put it there. It is how you improve healthcare sector. Bill Gates. You devil, you demons. Bill Gates should be unwanted on the African continent. Bill Gates should be unwanted on the African continent. Why can't you go to China that is overpopulated and talk about putting this thing? Because the Chinese even have a law that one child, that's it. One child policy. Why can't you go there? Why can't you go there to put these things in the Chinese womb? Why can't you go and do it there? Because you know CJP will not allow that thing to happen. They will put you in jail. It's a crime against humanity. But we Africans, we want to live on crumbs. We see the white man as our God. We open, oh, Jesus is coming from heaven. Jesus Christ, oh, hallelujah. Our Savior. Them Savior from where? Them Savior from where? I can tell you, if Jesus is white and you go to heaven, you will never, ever live in that heaven of a white man. If Jesus is white and you go to heaven, you will be thrown out from the sky. The same way they threw Lucifer from the sky, that's how they will throw you from the sky and you come right back and you will die. Maybe you will be the next snake to go in the garden, to go fool Adam and Eve. Oh yes. You will be the next snake to go in the garden to fool Adam and Eve again. So we'll take this out, right? Let's see something here. Let's see the idiot who is talking about he won't help Africa. Look here. Look here. How can somebody be talking about improving the healthcare sector, but They're saying this nasty thing. Look right here. BGate is saying he wants to improve the healthcare sector of Africans. But look here. BGate, how does solving global poverty prevent overpopulation? So all their issues are always based on Africa. Poverty, Africa. Population, Africa. Death, Africa. But do you know the reason why Africa? Let me say this. First of all, we should get that narrative that Africa is overpopulated. Africa is not overpopulated. Let's get that off. That is the white man mentality. That is a white man, school of thought that Africa is overpopulated. Okay, Africa is not overpopulated based on the resources, based on our landmass. How can Africa be overpopulated when you have landmass upon landmass, empty, densely populated? I mean, landmass upon landmass that is empty and densely populated. How can you call that overpopulated? No, let's make things clear here. How can you say overpopulated, right, or poverty? Just Burkina Faso alone have over trillions of gold. Sorry, not Burkina Faso. Or Zimbabwe. Just Zimbabwe alone have over trillions of gold. How can you call that overpopulated? We have these resources that can feed our population. Africa is not overpopulated. The Most High did not make mistake. That is why he made that play. He called that play the Garden of Eden. You came and change it. And today nobody knows what the Garden of Eden is said until they do research. We know now. But how can we be overpopulated when we have the resources? Just Zimbabwe alone can feed the entire African continent. Trillions of gold. DRC Congo, the most resourceful nation in the world. Trillions upon trillions. Niger, uranium, trillions upon trillions. Mali, Burkina Faso, trillions upon trillions in gold. Ghana, trillions upon trillions in gold. Liberia and Sierra Leone, diamonds, trillions upon trillions in diamond. How can you call us overpopulated? No, we are underpopulated. We are underpopulated. If we want to call people that are overpopulated, the US is overpopulated because you do not have the resources to maintain your population if you don't extract or exploit other nations. Europe is overpopulated because they do not have the resources if they don't run propaganda and proxy war in other countries to extract their resources and take advantage of them because you will not survive. And that is what's going on now. You guys are overpopulated because you can't feed yourself. If you don't take advantage of other nations in the next 10 years, you will not survive. You will be dead war. That is overpopulation because you do not have the resources to sustain your population. You may have the machine to print money, but money is paper. Money is paper. Money can do nothing. And that's why you've been lying and fooling African people. You do not have the means to survive. You are overpopulated, not the African continent. And that is why all of you are running to the African continent. And then you call the African continent overpopulated? No, we are underpopulated. We just have bad governing system. Those are the things that you should say. And you are the purpose, you are the reason to those bad governing system because you manipulate our election, you put in puppet, and then we call it election. We call it people who are, no, African vote do not put Africans in power. And if African vote put Africans in power, you, America and Europe, you go against those leaders and take them from there because those leaders were not elected or selected by you, so they won't be a puppet because you will not convince them. And then what you do, you sponsor opposition, you sponsor other people in our country and make sure they remove them. And then you establish fake campaign election and put them there. That is the same thing you did to Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, talking about election or sovereign government. Do you have to decide for the people? No, the people decide if they want sovereign government, if they want military government, and level the people. And the people say they love those military government. Because at the end of the day, look, whether you take bicycle, right, to get to point B, or you can take car to get to point B. At the end of the day, if 12 o'clock are supposed to be to point B, and 12 o'clock, you're supposed to be to point B, right? We both supposed to be to point B at 12 o'clock. You can take your helicopter or your plane, and I can take my bicycle. As long as I get there by 12 o'clock, that's what matters. Because I am now late. I attended a meeting, and I got in a meeting what I wanted. I got it. That's what matters. So Africa is not overpopulated. Africa is underpopulated. We have bad governance system like Tinubu, like Ouattara. And there are many of them in Africa. The only greatest African leaders that we have right now are Abraham Traoré, Burkina Faso, Tiani, and Assimi Goïta. The Sahel nation, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. They are the three governments, efficient and effective governments so far in Africa. And to follow, we have the Namibian president, our Queen Mother. And to follow, we have the Botswana president, Boko, our brother. And to follow, that we believe we have the Ghanaian president, His Honor, His Excellency, John Mahama. Those so far are the leaders so far that we have on the African continent so far, right now yet. But other than that, the rest, they are not African leaders. They are Western leaders serving for Western interests. So Africa is not overpopulated or populated. Africa is underpopulated. Because just look at Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, the thing that they have done. These people, when you will never, no matter how those people population can increase whatsoever, they will never be overpopulated because you have the means, you have the economy, you have the resources. Now, you can only be overpopulated if you don't have the economy to sustain the population. Then you are overpopulated. So in the next 5-10 years, the U.S. is going to be overpopulated because they will not have the resources to sustain their citizens or their economy. Over the next 5 to 10 years, you are going to be overpopulated because they will not have the resources or the economy to sustain their people. And that is why France is in dire need today, because she's no longer getting 500 billion every year from the Francophone nation. Every year, France are getting 500 billion. Imagine that. And you call those nations poor? How can a poor nation, you be earning 500 billion every year? How can a poor nation 500 billion every year? And you want us to be going by that narrative, and those are that narrative that will keep going away, right? We are been going away, and they keep depending on these people thinking that we are poor, we can't make it. We are overpopulated, we can't make it. But how can we be poor and overpopulated, but you are getting 500 billion every year in CFA from us? And now you are not getting it. You don't have that means to sustain your economy. So you poor, you overpopulated because you don't have the economy to sustain your population. That's just what poverty is. That's just what overpopulation is. If you don't have the economy for your population, you are overpopulated. You can have $3 billion people. You can have Mark Zuckerberg. You can have or how do you call him? Or Jeff Bezos and things. That doesn't mean nothing. You can still be overpopulated even if your population is just 5 million. As long as you don't have that economy for that population, you are overpopulated because you don't have the economy to sustain your people. You are overpopulated. And very soon, the Western world will be overpopulated. Africa can never be overpopulated. Just Zimbabwe alone can feed trillions of gold. That is why the US left. You went to Zimbabwe. You have already discovered billions of resources there. You wanted to buy the land, and people say no. You say you want to spend billions of dollars just for a piece of land. The US want to spend billions of dollars to buy a piece of land in Zimbabwe. What these trillions of resources are. The people say no. So we are not overpopulated. The truth is, let us be frank, we are underpopulated. And Bill Gates want to come to try to destroy us. So let's listen to the video.
Okay, this is a very important question to get right because it was absolutely key for me. When our foundation first started up, it was focused on reproductive health. That was the main thing we did because I thought, population growth in poor countries is the biggest problem they face. You've got to help mothers who want to limit family size have the tools and education to do that. And I thought that's the only thing that really counts. Well, then I came across articles that showed that the key thing you can do to reduce population growth is actually improve health. And that's
all right. So now you heard that. The key thing to do to improve the healthcare system is to invest in depopulation. You see that? But we just read a 2 article earlier on, just from Dabiti. All right? Just Dabiti that we talk about in Nigeria. We did not even talk about Dabiti in all the other 54 African countries. Only in Nigeria, how it is killing people. And Dabiti come with other factors. Bill Gates is not talking about investing in those places. Okay? And by the way, by 2030, as the article said, diabetes will be a major pandemic. But Bill Gates is not talking about in Nigeria. Diabetes will be a major pandemic. Bill Gates is not talking about investing or improving the healthcare sector for Africa not to die, right? But he's talking about investing in the healthcare sector to save African life by not producing, by inserting devices in women's reproductive organ that will serve as a blockage for sperm to fertilize their egg. So the people that are dying before 2030, are we supposed to replenish? Are we supposed to reproduce to replace those people that are dying? But Bill Gates is saying no. The people that are dying, they are part of our agenda of depopulation, right? So we are coming to prevent you people from replenishing, right? For reproducing, for replacing those people that are dying. We don't want you to replace them. Is this how you improve the healthcare sector? In other words, you are even telling women to go have more sex to get more disease and sickness. Because if they feel that they have that reproductive system in them, maybe they feel that they can't get birth again, right? What they're going to do, they're not going to stick to one man because they know they're not going to get pregnant. They're not going to use protection because they know they're not going to get pregnant. So they're just going to lie down and give their darling and give their apple to Adam to enter into the garden, to enter and eat the apple. You see it. Without no protection, Adam will enter into the garden and just eat the apple. And Eve will just keep giving the garden up to Adam, to all the Adam gender. And the Adam gender will just be eating it with no protection. More sickness, more disease. And this how Bill Gates, you fight to improve the healthcare sector. You see, Bill Gates is a demon. Do not allow Bill Gates on the African continent. And he's doing this, and then at the same time, talking about he want to go to Nigeria. He already spoke with the Nigerian government, another corrupting man, another planted Washington, D.C. leader in Nigeria, talking about he want to go create GMO food to be producing food. Folks, how such an evil man sitting here saying this? Talking about he want to put tube in woman's womb to prevent them from reproducing. And then you want to blame this man to come and sit down in Nigeria to come and provide food for you, GMO food for you, that will destroy your cell, that will destroy your system, that you will not know who you are, that will destroy your melanin. Folks, Bill Gates should not be wanted in Africa. He's unwanted. Don't allow Bill Gates in Nigeria. Don't allow Bill Gates in Kenya. Don't allow Bill Gates in Africa. Now, he may have some good billions of data that may give incentive. Those incentives are there to destroy you. Those incentives, the money that he will give to a few couple of people is for incentives. Yes, Miss Hetty, that's what they want to do. The incentive into you. And you will never get breath. Because the truth is, he did this in Kenya and then sterilized the Kenyan girls 12 to 18. And then he said he was giving them polio vaccine so that by the time they get pregnant, they won't take polio vaccine because the vaccine will already be in them to fight for to help protect the babies. But now he sterilized these guys. And when these girls, some of them reach 20, 25, they couldn't get breath. And they start forcing with their hormone. It was an issue in Kenya. And after Kenyatta was the president. And then that's like the president at that time went on air to say the man then should marry at least two or three wives. So that the women can be able to get breath. And after he did not know, but when the scientists, the Kenyan doctor did a research and started doing tests on all the women that were sterilized by Bill Gates or fake polio vaccine, they all couldn't get breath. And most of them were in relationship. That's how they concluded that research. And that's how Bill Gates was exposed. First, he said polio vaccine. And now he's coming with device that will be inserted into women. Now he's talking about he's coming to get Africans. Don't you have soil? Don't you have hand to produce your own food? Bill Gates coming produce food for you that will destroy you, GMO. Bill Gates is a killer, and we are campaigning. Don't invite him. Don't encourage him on the African continent. And this message should go across. This man sitting here talking about depopulation. And then he coming to you, telling you he's coming to save you, to improve your healthcare sector. Nonsense.
Sounds paradoxical. You think, okay, better health means more kids, not less kids. Well, in fact, what parents are doing is they're trying to have 2 kids survive to adulthood to take care of them. And so the more disease burden there is, the more kids they have to have that high probability. So there's a perfect correlation that as you improve health, within a half generation, the population growth rate goes down. In fact, Hans Rosling here at this conference in 2 of my favorite speeches actually showed that unbelievable correlation that population growth has gone down. Today, where is their high?
The truth is, Bill Gates, there's no correlation between your analysis with depopulation. There's no correlation of your analysis of improving the healthcare sector your analysis, right? All right, with saving African life. You cannot say, you're talking about depopulation. There is correlation between your depopulation agenda versus inserting a tube or device in women from preventing them to get pregnant. There is correlation. Because you want depopulation, what can you do for African not to get breast? What can you do for African women not to get pregnant? Is to insert device into them so that that device will serve as a blockage from blocking the sperm from entering to fertilize the egg, the female egg, in order to get pregnant to reproduce. So there's a correlation in that analysis of depopulation putting device in women. But there's no correlation with improving the healthcare sector with depopulation. There is no correlation in there. You cannot improve the healthcare sector by depopulating the African people. At the same time, when sicknesses, diabetes, or HIV, or tuberculosis, I mean, you name it, are destroying African. Heart attack that come with TB, I mean, or diabetes, or heart failures that come with diabetes, chronic kidney disease that come with diabetes, stroke that come with diabetes. There is no correlation with that of putting incentive device in women uterus, blocking their reproductive system, right, from the sperm to reach. There is no correlation in there. There is no correlation in there.
High population growth. It's in the places with the worst health conditions, northern Nigeria, northern India. And so the two problems go exactly hand in hand. If we improve health rapidly, we will get the peak population to be as much as 1 billion below the current expected peak. That is about 8.3 billion versus 9.3.
So now you see his agenda plan, right? And like we said, Africa is not overpopulated. The truth is, Africa is actually underpopulated. With our resources and a landmass, I mean, we're talking about an entire continent here. We're talking about an entire continent. China get over 1 billion people. China is not a continent. But Africa is a continent with vast land mass. I mean, densely populated, all these land mass are there. With all these resources, that trillions of years to come, these resources will be there to cater to the needs of the people. We have the economy. We just have bad leadership supported by the West. So the truth is, Africa is actually underpopulated. That's the truth. In Europe, the Western world are overpopulated because right now, as we speak, Europe, they are suffering because they no longer have the resources to maintain the economy for their population. Because nations that they took advantage of, they no longer, for example, Niger that was supplying electricity with their uranium. Now, no electricity going there. France is in darkness. You are buying it, you are getting the people uranium for 1 cent, and then selling it on the world market for $200. That was sustaining your economy. So you thought your population was you never had overpopulation, right? Or you are not overpopulated. Taking advantage of people improve your economy. But the truth is, you were even overpopulated. The truth is, Europe is overpopulated. You don't have the economy to sustain your population. That's what made you overpopulated. And you fall inside as we speak. And US going to fall in it in few years to come. Few years in our lifetime. US going to be part of that overpopulation. If she's not careful. If she's not careful. if she's not careful, and more especially, if she's not careful, when the entire Africa turn away from her, it's finished. Why do you think she's making peace with Russia? You so-called dumb, stupid African leaders sit down there when the Western world put your dumb head in together, and then you're there fighting. No, we want to invite Burkina Faso. No, all these African leaders have not invited Burkina Faso. I know they say Gabon did it, but Gabon did it so that they can manipulate the mind of Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali, so that they can turn the country over to sovereign government. What better sovereign government? You think the government in Gabon is sovereign government? They planted a coup, and they put our government there, so they know what's going on. Then you see the Gabon president came here and put on a Trump mega hat, make America great again. You should be a fool as an African leader to put that thing on your head. You can't say make America great. Do you know the meaning behind that make America great again?
Intentionally using synthetic molecules, which by design are cancer, AIDS, all of the Bodum and Nicodrema.
Yeah, it's for the purpose of sterilization and population control. There's too many people on the planet.
Now, you're saying synthetic. Now, didn't you see that? That's not a report BGate talking about in this 2025 to start in Kenya. The synthetic, the device they came out with. And by the way, this video have been going on all along. I mean, yes, they came out with this video. But now in 2025, BGate has finally created a device to insert it in women. Why only in African women? Why can't BGate take it to China? China have over 1 billion population. Why can't he take it to Dubai? Because you know they will stone him to death. You know, we Africans sometimes, we the problem. We are the problem too sometimes. We are the problem too sometimes. We believe in white people too damn much. Whenever we see white people, we don't question them. We don't question them. Black folks are the only folks that never question white people. All other races question white people. But black folks, we are the only folks that never question white people. BGate tried that nonsense in the Middle East. He tried it in Dubai. He will be stoned to death. He know that. I don't think he will come back to his America. But we see these white folk, we don't question them. We think that they came from heaven. No damn white man sitting in heaven. Because the creator that you have in your hair, he's not white. He never been white, and he will never be white. So you better start thinking rightfully. The day of the creation of the world, you so-called Christian, the God that you know, he was never white. And his description is never white. And he will never be white. And if he's ever coming back, when he come back, he will never be white. And he's never coming white. He's coming with the same description in the Bible that you read. He's coming with the same description in Daniel chapter 9 verse 7 or 7 verse 9. He's coming with the same description in Revelation chapter 1 verse 14. That's the description he's coming with. Other than that, he's never coming with no other descriptions. He was never white. He's never going to be white. So when you see the white man coming to you with agenda, you better question it thoroughly. So this was a plain synthetic molecule. And now finally in 2025, they have come out with that synthetic. Then Bill Gates is telling you he wants to come improve the healthcare sector. But this is a similar thing I'm telling you he wants to depopulate the African continent. He wants to kill African people. He wants to destroy your African reproductive women system. I mean, your African women, he wants to destroy their reproductive system. He's telling you, basically, this man is telling you he hates African giving birth. Basically, he's telling you he hates African to his guts. Basically, he's telling you if he had the power, he will erase the entire black race. That's what he's doing.
We need to get rid of.
Intentionally using synthetic molecules, which by design are cancer, AIDS, all of the bogeymen you could dream up.
Yeah, it's for the purpose of sterilization and population control. There's too many people on the planet we need to get rid of. In the words of Bill Gates, at least 3 billion people need to die. So we'll just start off in Africa. We'll start doing our research there, and we'll eliminate most of the Africans because they're deplorable. They're worthless. They're not part of this world economy. So they have their rights taken away, and they're suppressed and they're experimented.
And
if you still believe in Bill Gates, you so-called African leaders, especially Nigeria, especially Kenya, if you still believe in Bill Gates, you believe in Bill Gates for the destruction of your own people.
Worshipped. Can anyone explain that to me? What is it about Bill Gates? What is it about Bill Gates that is so special? Can anyone tell me? How does a man like this, with billions and billions and billions of dollars, get to say, I want to block out the sun? Did you hear about this? He wants to block out the sun. He's geoengineering mosquitoes, and he invests all his money in depopulating the world. And this all comes out of his mouth. I want to show you this, and I want to know, and I know people that actually like praise. They love my neighbor that used to live in Chestnut, New Jersey. He's like, we always contribute to the Gates Foundation because he does so much. He does so much. Bill Gates is an Avengers character. Play these things by him.
In other news, Pennsylvania residents are going to be happy to hear this. It just came out. There's a new website where any Pennsylvania resident.
Population growth. That's this big benefit. The key thing you can do to reduce population growth is actually improve health.
In the developed countries, the big winners are countries that have shrinking populations.
I would like to reduce the number of people on the planet because there's too many of us.
Oh, really?
When we invest in clean energy and electric vehicles and reduce population,
Wait. What the?
more of our children can breathe clean air and drink clean water.
Oh, wow.
Now, the world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that.
We're taking things that are, genetically modified organisms, and we're injecting them in little kids' arms. We just shoot them right into the vein.
So in the next 5 to 10 years, for the next pandemic, we'll solve all those problems.
You say the next pandemic, there will be another pandemic.
Absolutely. We don't know when.
History teaches us that the next pandemic is a matter of when, not if.
We know what's next. We're going to have another major coronavirus pandemic before the end of this decade, before 2030.
If we really want to prevent the next pandemic, and there will be one, there will absolutely be an outbreak of another
pandemic. It's amazing
pandemic.
how people know what pandemics are coming. It's amazing how this guy, he talks about we need to depopulate the world. Everyone talks about depopulating. Have you all traveled? Have you been to Middle America? It's nothing but space. Space, land, and space. Oh, now we play God? We decide who's going to live and who's not going to live? Do you remember years ago when we used to look at China and we'd go, oh, you know, that's a sick country because they don't allow, you know, if it's a son or if it's a daughter, they have to get rid of them. It's like, what kind of country would do that to their children? The U.S. would. And you're allowing Bill Gates to say it. And people still put this man on a platform. He's playing God. He gets to decide who will live and who won't live because which I didn't know he was a scientist. And I didn't know he was a doctor. The last I checked, he was like a computer whiz who also was under investigation by the government a long time ago because he was the guy that created viruses when he was the only one that knew how to fix the viruses. Oh, genius, sire. And then he took his millions of dollars and he changed his whole image to be like, hi, I'm the vaccine guy. Let's go to Korea and kill kids. Korea didn't have autism until vaccines showed up. I didn't say that. That's not a fact. I'm not a scientist. But I've seen plenty of interviews that say the same exact thing. But hey, Bill Gates, isn't he brilliant? Guy, what a good guy. He contributes. He pays off. You know what all sick individuals do? They pay people off. Here, I'm a good guy. Ain't I a good guy? I'll pay for your foundation. Foundations, a lot of times, are big write-offs for billionaires. They need to write off a lot of money in taxes. That's what they do. Hey, here's a contribution to your foundation. Tax write-off. Here's a they don't care about the contributions. It's a tax write-off. And then the people that get it, I will never forget this statement. I lived next to a guy that worked for Moderna. Actually, take it away. Moderna, great company. Really love what they do. This guy worked for a vaccine company. True story. And when the whole thing was going down, I'll never forget, we stopped in the street and he was all caught up in the news and he asked me if I got vaccinated. And I said, no, I'm not doing that. And he said, why not? I said, there's no need to. He goes, no, you know, and he tried to explain to me what his little scientific friends taught him how to sell the product. And I'll never forget this quote. I said, well, what about the side effects? What about the people that are affected in a bad way with vaccines? And his exact words were, he paused and he went, the good outweigh the bad until it's your child. And the good outweighs the bad when it comes to how much of this is made. The good outweighs the bad. As long as we get that. If there was no money involved.
This is Pod 5.
All right, because of time, I can't play the entire video. I want to discuss about Putin and Trump before we leave, in reference to the African leaders. Yes, so I can't really play the entire video. So before we get to Putin and Trump, let me play our great dynamic African leader, P.L.O. Lumumba, before we go.
Who in 1958 pretended to hand over political power. We no longer want to be with you. We no longer want to be your latter-day slaves. Traore is being heard as saying that. Traore is being heard as saying, you, the neo-colonizers who have given us the short hand of the stick, you reap where you have not sown. You take our uranium, you take our resources, you take our minerals, and you give us a pittance. You are not going to do it anymore. You, the colonizers, you, the French, who in 1958 pretended to hand over political power, we no longer want to be with you. We no longer want to be your latter-day slaves. Traore is being heard as saying that. Traore is being heard as saying, you, the neo-colonizers who have given us the short hand of the stick, you reap where you have not sown. You take our uranium, you take our resources, you take our minerals, and you give us a pittance. You are not going to do it anymore. You.
All right, so let's talk about Trump and Putin right now. I don't really have interest in speaking about Trump and Putin. That's not what I'm here for, and that's not what I'm here to discuss. All right, I'm only bringing that out because of the African continent, because of our African leaders around the world. They allow the West to always play on them against their brothers and sisters, against other African nations. And then the West will leave them fighting among themselves while the West is making peace, okay, with the same people the West have told them not to make peace with. Now, how can a U.S., all right, how can a U.S. dictate to Africans and says Russia is your enemy and says don't make friends with Russia, don't make peace with Russia, don't go on the side of Russia, Russia is bad, Russia is dead. I mean, all the negative adjectives are described to Russia. Now again, this is not in favor of I'm speaking for Russia or I'm speaking against the US. I don't care. This is about Africans, all right? And this is about Africa. Now, the point that I want to make here is, how can a US tell us who our friends should be and who we should not make friends with? But at the same time, the same people, Russia, I mean the US is telling us, Washington, D.C. is telling us, don't go around China. Don't go around Russia. Russia is XYZ. But at the same time, the U.S. is making friends. The U.S. is apologizing. The U.S. is strengthening their diplomatic tie or whatsoever relationship they have with those people. But at the same time, the U.S. is telling us we are enemy to those people. Why did the U.S. get angry when Tuareg went to Russia? Tiani, Russia. Aximigata, Russia. The U.S. got angry. I can remember when Burkina Faso went to Russia, invited Russia on their side. I can remember when Joe Biden had the African or U.S. summit, they did not invite Abraham Tuareg or the AES nation. Because they said these people were with the enemies, which is Russia. But here is Russia. You so-called African, especially the ECOWAS nation, the US, Washington, D.C., and EU made you to go against Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso. US and EU made you wanted to go and wage war on Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso. The US and EU told you ECOWAS they was going to support you with ammunition, with finances to go wage war on Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso. AU, the US, Washington, D.C., and EU told AU to put sanctions on Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso. And you went ahead and did it. You went ahead and did it. And since that time, those of your brother, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, left ECOWAS. And if you don't mind, They might even leave AU. But so to speak, as we speak now, they left ECOWAS because of your stupidity. They left ECOWAS because of your stupidity to listen to Washington, D.C. and Europe. And now you create that enemyship, okay? That hatred between your own brother and sister because you wanted to go fight them. Because you, Tinubu, you listen to Washington, D.C. and Europe, you block electricity supply from Niger, from Mali, from Burkina Faso. When you know this country are landlocked, they don't have sea, they don't have ocean. You isolated these people. How did you expect them to survive? Because Washington, D.C. and EU told you to cut away from them, cut supply, so that they can suffer, so that they can surrender. And this nation said, we will not surrender. This is what freedom is. Freedom does not come on a silver platter. Freedom does not come by begging your oppressor. They stood up firm and they formed their alliance. And they survived. After you put sanction on them, they say, yeah, no problem. They left ECOWAS. EU came and put sanction. They said, no problem. What did they naturally left their resources. Now they have a gold reserve of the nation. Nigeria, where is their gold reserve? Nigeria, where is their oil reserve? Where is it? You so-called West Africa, where are your gold reserve? Liberia, where is your diamond reserve? Where is your iron ore reserve? Where is your gold reserve? Where is your uranium reserve? Where are they? Now, these three nations, according to World Report, they are the fastest growing developing country in the world. Just in 2022, when Abraham Traore took power. Meanwhile, you so-called African nations, some of you, look at Togo. This family been in power for over 50 years. Look at Togo. Look at all these democratic nations in Africa. Where are they? The Sahel nation, they are fast developing more than the so-called democratic nation in Africa. What is that about democracy? I call it demonic crisis. I call it demonic crisis. But look at the US now. Now, you so-called African leaders, especially ECOWAS, you don't invite the AES nation because you think they are terrorists. You think they are junta because they follow Russia, they follow China. But now you sitting there, the US told you, don't go to China, don't go to Russia. Well, the US know. At this point, she's been isolated. What did they say? You had a possession of Russia. Russia survived, right? Now, what they're doing, they invited Russia here. When you believe that the United States president and Vladimir Putin will sit in the same car, did you ever believe that? I'm talking to the African leaders. I'm talking to the ECOWAS leader. I'm talking to Nana Akufo-Addo, even though he's no longer the president, but I'm talking to him. I'm talking to Al-Assad, even though he's no longer the president for Senegal, but I'm talking to him. I'm talking to Ouattara, who is still the president. I'm talking to him. I'm talking to Farouk, who is still the president or the leader in Togo. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to Tinubu, who is still the leader in Nigeria. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you, so-called ECOWAS leader. I'm talking to you people.
who experimented on all of these women, also accused enslaved Africans, accused them for the fact that the children have what we now know as neonatal tetanus. He called it Trismus nascentium, just made up something, but it's neonatal tetanus. Tetanus derives from manure. The likely cause of it because of the proximity enslaved Africans were to animal stables. People like him caused because of where they had to sleep. But he said it was because of their indecency of their parents. So he decided he was going to try to correct it with a shoemaker's awl. And it is a pointed object that they poke holes in leather with. Every child that was born attempted to reshape their heads and had a 100% fatality rate, killed every single child. Imagine what it must have been like. And they had a statue of him until 2018 when Harriet Washington, myself, and others said, you're going to move that from Central Park. Central Park had J. Marion Sims. It's now at his grave, but it stood there until 2018. He was a monster. J. Marion Sims, the same man who experimented on all of these women.
So you heard that? These are things that happened way back, but it's still happening in 2020, 2025. They're still experimenting on us. They're still destroying or killing us. They're still killing our babies. They don't want us to survive. You think we're saying these things is by coincidence or we hate anybody? No. One who speaks the obvious is not a hater. And that's what we do here.
Thank you very much, and we'll speak to you very soon and probably see you again very soon. Thank you very much, Vladimir.
Next time in Moscow.
Oh, that's an interesting one. I don't know. I'll get a little heat on that one, but I could see it possibly happening. Thank you very much, Vladimir. And thank you all. Again, Mr. President, I'd like to thank you very much. And
now, listen to what Donald Trump did here to Putin. Thank you very much, Mr. President. He never called Putin partners. I think the only President Trump called, how to call it, president, and then he even refers to as nation, was Burkina Faso. When the ambassador of Burkina Faso in the US met with Trump. And then there was Trump said, our two nations. But all the other African leaders that came, Trump said, what you got in your country will benefit the US and our partners. You see, he never called Putin partners. Look, what am I trying to say here is right. Power. It's not given to nobody. You have to take it. Leadership, you have to take it. You can't be the leader and be the puppet. So you see, for example, how they respect the AES nation. They call those people president. They call them leader. And they call them nation. And the so-called African Democratic leader, when they came, they call them partners. They never call them leaders. They never call them president. They never call them nations. They call them partners because they are corrupt. Look how they may call Putin Mr. President. Thank you. See how he addressed Putin. Did he ever address the so-called African leader when they came? The so-called Democratic leader when they came? But Trump humiliated them and called them names. Show his attitude to them. But see what he did on the stage there? Calling Putin Mr. President. Thank you for coming. And we just happened. Putin said no. You have to make the next trip to me now. But you see how he answered. But at the end of the day, he still said yes. Even though he stumbled, but at the end of the day, he said yes. Because you know Putin will not come here again if he don't go. I mean, the point I want to make here is African leaders. You have to respect yourself. You have to rule as leader. Look at the three nations, the Shahid nation. They are doing marvelous well. Learn from them. Don't think the West don't love those people. They love what they are doing. They love their leadership model. But they are pretenders. They are pretending. Because they don't want you people to take the same role. So they are pretending that they don't like them, but they respect those people. Then you so-called democratic nation, you so-called puppet leader, they respect the three nation, the Cheyenne nation, then you so-called African, West African nation, whatsoever. Now you see, when John Mahama took power, when he started leaning to Abraham Traore's side and talking about this our brother, we are the same thing. What the US did, the US start coming down hard on him. We expect those things to happen. But we will win. The US will lose. Don't get it twisted. It comes with a price. It comes with a price. But we get mad that because it comes with a price, that we fall. Like Julia Malema said, we are already dead. Why are we afraid of? We are already dead. Why are we afraid of? So even if it comes with a price, let's take the price and go with it. Let's take it. As long as it's going to free us, as long as it's going to take us there, let's take it and go. And we should not turn back to them. Because the truth is, they are going to fall. They will be the beggars. And we want them to get on our knees to beg us. That is why Isaiah 49 verse 23 said that king and it shall be the next in father and the next in mother. They will come on their knee and beg us and lick the doors of our booths. That's what we want. And they know that. They know it. Because they don't want to do that. You think they will sit down that happen for nothing? It will happen. They will bow down and lick the doors of our booths because it is prophecy. Isaiah 49, 23, like I said, don't go to the Bible. We are also there. Don't think we don't read it. We read it for understanding. Because now that thing they do in the Christian churches, love, God is love. God. No, if you really take that and read the Bible, when it tells you God is a just God, you gotta be careful. He's a God of justice. It means do unto others as you expect others to do unto you. And that's why he said in his word, do unto others as you expect others to do unto you. So they know it. You think they don't know the Bible? So when it comes to the Bible, we also read it. It's in our head. So you can defeat all. You go anywhere, we there. So they know Isaiah 49, 23, it will happen. That they will bow down to our feet and lick the dust of our boots. It will happen.
Africans have been using it for centuries before.
This is not what I want. So African leaders, you see what power do? You see the American jet bomber them up there protecting Putin because he's on a different land. If anything dare happen to him, they know what will happen. They know what will happen. And the truth is, the Russians were just sitting down too. Their mouth were open whatsoever they were at. Their missile. They are whatsoever, and were just sitting there open, watching. They played Putin was walking. They saw Putin walking when they were in Russia. They monitored everything. They sat down there. Their satellite. They saw everything. They mapped that whole place. So the army was under protection. Do you see what power do? Do you see when you have power? You see what you do? You a whole continent, and you don't have that power. When Abraham Traore said, let us unite and have this power, then you want to go against your own brother because your slave master told you to go against. Are you stupid? in this 21st century, you still a slave for the white man? Look at the two people there. You African leaders, that's Putin and the US president walking down there. That's Putin and the US president walking. Now, you may say, oh, it's Donald Trump or Joe Biden couldn't have done this. How they call it? Joe Bush couldn't have done this. Obama couldn't have done this. Listen, you don't know what go behind closed door. You don't know what go behind closed door. Obama could have done this. Joe Bush could have done this. Biden could have done this. If Kamala Harris was going to win, Kamala Harris could have done this. Don't get it twisted. When it comes to the interest of the U.S., where they know the interest of the U.S. is at stake, they do anything to come back. Don't get it twisted. So, you Ekwa, Tinubu, Nana Akufo-Addo, even though you are no longer the president, but the damages you guys caused to the AES nation, you better go and fix it. You better go and fix it. And when you go to fix it, don't go with hypocrisy. Go with true sincerity and fix it. Because do you see the West? They made you guys to go against those nations because of Putin. You see? Yeah, it's Putin. Did you see that? You always allow the white men to pull you people together and go against each other. And then they sit down and start laughing. Yeah, it is. But they say Putin was an enemy. But look at them. Donald Trump put this standing right there. Could you imagine this? Could you have imagined this? That is why you never trust the West. Never trust them. They have never been trustful. They have never been truthful. And they will never be. They are the people the Bible spoke of in Isaiah. When it said, be careful of them. Their words are smoother and softer like oil and butter. But war and sword are in their hand and in their heart. He was talking about the West. The Bible is talking about the West.
Trump in one of the most historic meetings of our lifetime. Greeting each other in a friendly and warm way, President Trump and Putin shook hands, hugged, and even exchanged laughter as they are on the way now for what could be a 7-hour meeting between these two. And to the shock of everyone, they both got into Trump's limousine. In a shock to the world, they are riding together to the meeting room. The first time a Russian president has ever gotten in the limo. During their handshake, an American flyover of F-22, Putin was greeted by the American military.
So, you see, the American president went to the airport, stood up there, waiting for Putin to land or to come from his plane. You so-called African leader, call yourself Democratic, call yourself partner, have they do this to you? American president go to the airport, stand there, wait for you to come, shake your hand, and then ride in the same car? No, they pack you in boxes like sardines because they don't respect you people. You saw, I mean, it was not even Abraham Traore, just the ambassador of Burkina Faso. When he met Trump, or when Trump met him, you saw how Trump was smiling. In fact, Trump stood up, shook his hand, and Trump looked in your face. Trump, even though there was picture, but I know Trump was trimming because he saw a leader. And this man was in his military attire. And you saw Trump's face because he knew he was looking at a leader that was representing the leader. And you so-called slave, call yourself democratic nation, come here, sit down here, and then put your own bosses like sardine. You a rah with American president. And then the Kenyan president, William Ruto, when Joe Biden sat in a presidential seat in a White House like a slave, and then he's thinking, oh yeah, I sit in the American. I mean, all those are incentives that they use on you to control you, to manipulate you, you idiots.
Beside him on the red carpet. Body language between these two was of comfort and friendliness as they exchanged conversations walking to the front near the press, and both of the leaders did not answer any question. Putin even at one point pointing to his ear and smiling. Here's the photo of them two with American jets in the background. Absolute aura from this photo. We are living in history. Trump got off of his plane first, followed by President Putin. Comment your thoughts. Follow me for update. Putin has met Trump in one.
All right, folks. That is today's presentation. That's what I have to give you. It has been said, there's nothing more to say. If you came late, we ask you to go by and watch the recording and see how we started from the beginning, and then see how we built up, and then before we got to this far. If not, you don't really understand, the video, because this is the VCC. We try to make our people to understand, so we build the case out, right? And then before coming to the main topic and stuff. But if you got it, so be it. But if you didn't get the whole story, right, we urge you to, after the live recording, go back and listen to the recording and see how we build the case before getting to this conclusion here. But other than that, I will see you all Saturday. If Nkumba, will be ready, because I know he been busy with he and Natasha too been busy taking care of other stuff. That's why the Saturday show, have not been ongoing. But I try as much as possible to keep the platform going, and that's why every Sunday, most of the time, we are here. But I'm hoping that they will be back soon so that we can get the Saturday show going. But other than that, hit, like, subscribe, share. This is the family, and we are urging you to please subscribe, because we want to get to our people. So before the end of this year, at least let's raise the subscriber up to certain number of subscriber. I know we can do it, right? This channel, we are not opinion based, okay? Sometimes I know it's tough, right? Because we hate our own people. I mean, we do it because we are not biased. We balance equation here, okay? Because we want for our people to wake up, and things. So we are family. Let's keep it going. Peace.
The white power structure, because that's all we have in America. And the white power structure today is just as much interested in perpetuating slavery as the white power structure was 100 years ago. Only now they use modern methods of doing so. And realizing that the black people in this country are waking up and becoming filled with a desire to be looked upon as men and as human beings.